Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Can sir?
Yes,
sir. Good afternoon. Yeah, it can be, sir.
Yeah, still I think 34 people. I think our class size somewhere around 60 something. Yeah. Let's see another 2-3 minutes. We'll wait and see that number is increasing or not.
මම දැන් ෆෝල්ඩර් තුන හතරක් ගන්නවා නේද? මේවා වෙන වෙනම ටියුටි එකේ වෙනම ගහගන්න. ෆෝල්ඩර් හතරක් විතර අල්ලලා තමන් වල නොමකට සෙපරේට් කරලා දෙන්න. ඒව දැන්
I think now, okay, somewhere around 47 students are there. Shall we start? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, can hear.
Yeah, okay, then we will start. Yeah. So please make sure that
Yes, sir.
you will switch off your mics. Otherwise, likewise, the last time, some people may be sleeping, and snoring, and some maybe family discussion and office discussion, So please make sure that you're switching off your mic whenever you have interval times. You can raise the questions. Otherwise, you can just use the chat mode. If you have any questions, just right. Okay. Then the last time we gave introductions to the what we call the economics, especially the business economics or managerial economics, or what we call the economics for technology management. Technology side we will discuss later part of our lecture. The first we have to give you the some idea about what actually the economics teaches, and what type of economics, the theories, model, standard framework we can apply to explain the technology market. Right. The last time we discussed about even the case study, actually that is not a big case study. But today I gave somewhat little, the comprehensive case study that also not that much Harvard type of things, anybody can read it within half an hour. That is mainly related with the today discussion, what we call the demand, supply, equilibrium, and the elasticity. It says, the price theory of market mechanisms, economists can explain a lot of things out of this market mechanisms, supply, demand, elasticity. By using these three concepts, economics can explain very many problems, even the today shortages in the market, the inflation, price increases, and all this stuff we can easily explain by using this framework. Therefore, this may be very important as to understand the market completely, and that is why we call it the market mechanism. And for last time we discussed the basic features of a good business. I think I don't want to ask from the people, the class members on that, the basic features of the good business. We consider Coca-Cola as one of the ideal business, golden business, because it give money to everybody. That's the most important things, and as well as it is not socially that much harm, it's a sustainable business, especially for investors, and it give so many benefits, We will discuss the latter part of our lectures, and maybe one session we can allocate to discuss these case studies. As we are still in the start of the lectures, we can go to the what we call the more theoretical and the conceptual and that aspects of this lecture series. And today we are mainly discussing the market mechanisms. and all of you know what is a market mechanism, then we will give a first start with what actually mean a market. The market means, these are technical definitions, a set of arrangement by which buyers and sellers are in contact to exchange goods and services. Then you can see there are three keywords. On the one hand, buyers, on the other hand, sellers, in between something to exchange. It can be good or service. That is a market. Then in order to be a market, there should be three things, you know, on the one hand, buyers, on the other hand, sellers, in between something to exchange. It can be a physical good or maybe invisible good or like a services, so whatever, you know. Then you can see the way other technologies fit in, you know, sometimes technology can be good, sometimes it can be a service, you know. When it comes to technology, you can see it has a technoware part, you know, machines part, it has a hardware, it has a human ware, it has an infoware. Technology can be product technology, or it can be process technology, you know. Then you can say technology has both these features. It has a physical as well as the indivisible, what we call the invisible. So you can't touch it, but it is there. Then you can see by technology market also we can analyze by using our market mechanism, the theories. And first we will see what are the various type of markets we can see in a practically. Then you can see physical market. The buyers, sellers, and goods and services in physical presence or contact. Then like your vegetable market, you go and you select, and thereafter you buy it, and you know the vegetable seller see you, the buyer, as a buyer you see the sellers, and you see the what you buy, and you know you pay more or less in a normal, you know, the market, you know, high street market, in a cash, you know. Sometimes they don't have that credit card machine. Then you can say physical market, you know, as a Sri Lankan we are very much used to it. And when it comes to the village level, rural level, you can see still this is the dominant market, you know. Predominant market is a physical market. An intermediate market means you can't directly buy, you have to use somebody, and you have to do the trading, what we call you have to do the market mechanisms. Then what is the share market, you know, brokering firms are there, money firms are there. Then you have a supermarket, you know, there is the new market coming, you know, especially in city areas. You can see the prices are fixed, you know. Some big supermarket is still, you can, what we call the bargain the things, and you select the things and you are bringing to the count, and you know, then you're helping to the people, you know, the investors and the owners of the supermarket, because otherwise, you know, they have to use some people to do that. But now you are selecting, and you know, you are bringing into the counter, you know, they have to only fill the shelf, and thereafter they have to do only the cash part of it. Then you can see supermarket, you know, our market mechanism is more or less applicable to all these people. In supermarket also you have on the one hand buyers, on the other hand sellers, in between something to exchange. Therefore our market mechanism, even we can generalize to supermarket as well. And the electronic markets nowadays very famous, you know, even sometimes we can say the telemarket, you know, the video, phone, fax based. Nowadays you can see the more or less we are using the video, phone also we are using, and the fax is now a little out of date. And internet is quite normal. You can say this is our market also, you know. Now we are doing the teaching, not the in-person, you know, we are doing it online, you know. Then we can say now academic market also, you know, higher education market to postgraduate market now become more also electronic market, you know. It's not in person, it is an online market, you know. Then that also you can see on the one hand, I am the seller, you know, as a lecturer, you are the buyer as a student. In between what we are exchanging is a knowledge, you know. Nothing else, knowledge. That also market, you know. Then you can see our economic theories with respect to the market mechanisms are applicable to electronic and telemarket, you know. Sometimes telemarket may be very famous. If you go to the Peta area, you know, the second cross the street, and you know, then you will see that, you know, there are people with you know, maybe only samples they have, but we can check the sample and you can order. Thereafter they will give a phone call, low video, you can see the things and the transaction happening, you know. Especially sometimes you can say you are buying coffee from Mexico and you are selling to somebody in London, but you are in Sri Lanka, but you never see the buyer seller or the coffee, but you are selling it, you know, only the money is coming to your account, you know. That way you find there are very many goods and the services are now trading that way. But service market, especially, you know, whenever the you are ordering it, you have to consume it. The service market has a special nature. We'll discuss later part of our lecture, the special features of the service markets rather the goods market. Even your operation management lecture also discussing that. And another market is auctions. You know, Sri Lanka is a very famous for auctions. You know, from history up to now, you know, so we have our largest tea auction. You know, Ceylon Chamber of Commerce twice a week. You know, you can go and see that, you know, how it is happening. You know, the auction can be ascending or descending or seal bid auctions. You know, you start very high price and you are lowering it. You are starting very low prices, you are upping the price, you're increasing the price. And that is the one which we are used to, in village level. You find in temples, schools, churches, kovils, and find it, so many the charity organizations, they do the fund collections via the auctions. And the seal bid auction, that's a government is doing, whenever government want to buy something or government want to sell something, they go for a tender procedure, then you can say that if the government want to sell the Moroto University, then the government say, we want to sell the Moroto University, anybody can bid it, then the people can get together and talk, and they can give a very low value. Sometimes without talking, they can give a very high value, without not knowing what is going to happen in the future, then you can see there are a lot of, limitations, advantages, disadvantages of this, the seal bid system. We will discuss the latter part of our lectures, that one. And there are a differentiated market. You find the customer wise, product wise, and the quality wise. You find in Sri Lanka also sometimes differentiated market, like Odell and like a Majestic, like a Liberty. Then you find the customer, product, and quality wise differentiated market. If you want to buy a cheaper product, where to go. Peta some street. But if you want to get a high quality product, where to go. It's a market is differentiated. And they have a homogeneous market. You can see the same type of goods and same price. The example is a PETA, if you go to PETA, you see some street specialize in one good or service, especially the what we call the second process street, maybe stationaries. Panchikavath maybe motor spare parts, cycle basa, only the cycle related things, That way you can see the prices are not that much difference, but maybe prices different with respect to quality of the product, Sometimes some of your MBA students are doing their research on this market, understanding this market. I remember recently one of your senior colleagues did a study with the Panchikavath, the motor spare parts. Then you will see very interesting new culture there, the first time we got to know, even we published that one, and even the World Academia is highly receptive for that paper. Because the first time they got to know that there are special culture spare parts, sometimes locally some of these things are manufactured inside locally, and what we call the differentiated market. For that market also our market mechanism is applicable. And thereafter the what we call the geographical market can be regional market, it has a special features. And the city market, urban market, rural market, and state plantation sector market, they are mainly price concerned people, but they are coming from different cultures, they like different type of colors, shapes, and taste and things like, special packages, that way. Then you can see there are various type of market available in the practice, that sometimes maybe some of the market you can maybe explain, but you got to know. I mean, when it comes to the deeper interior of the country, you will see that there are special type of markets available, but they are not documented somewhere. Informal sector, there are a lot of markets happening, but in order to be market, you can see on the one hand there should be buyer, other hand seller, in between something to exchange. It can be credit card or maybe physical money or whatever, the promise notes or whatever, by using, you do the exchanges. Then that is the market. There are market mechanisms things, supply, demand, elasticity, and these analyses are related to all these markets. Thereafter, we can go to the various type of product also. In market, you find there are different type of products available. Some product we say the normal product. How do you define a normal product? If the quantity demanded rises as income rise and falls when income falls, that means whenever your income goes up, you are buying more. Income goes down, you are buying less. That is a normal product. Most of the economic theories we develop for this normal product. And you have another one, the inferior product. Excuse me. Inferior products. That means if the quantity demanded falls as income rise and rise when income falls. That means whenever your income goes up, you don't want to buy it, you're shifting to another product. Likewise, dry fish and chicken, then whenever your income is low, you are consuming dry fish. Income goes up, you are just throw away the dry fish and you are going for a chicken, like a beer and whiskey, like your public transport and your private vehicles, whenever income goes up, you are just throw away the public transport and you're going for a, then the what we call your own vehicles. Then the public transport become inferior to you, like a dry fish become inferior to you, beer become inferior to you. You're going for a superior product because your income is going up. Then most of the economic theories not deal with this inferior product, but economic theories are mainly we develop the normal product. The normal product, you can see that whenever income goes up, where their demand in more, income goes down, they are demanding less. We have so many other type of product. I will just put a few, but in your textbooks, we have so many type of different product. The special case of the inferior product arises when as price rises, more of the good in question is bought, result in upward sloping demand curve. Whenever prices are going up, people buy more. Then prices are going down, people buy less. Then you find the gold market behavior, sometimes share market behavior. The given product you find everywhere, and you have Veblen product, and you have an independent product, dependent product. Independent means without help of others, you can consume that one, tubeless tire. But if you have big vehicles, you need a tubes, then it become tube or tire become the dependent of something else, and substitution product. And instead of one goods, you can use other one, like sugar and jaggery, or maybe butter and margarine. Before you buy the butter, you look at the margarine price. If a margarine price is low, you go for that. That is a human behavior, substitution product. And the complementary product, that means again like a dependent product. Without the help of the other goods, we cannot use them, like dal and bread, like ink and pen, software and the computer. Complementary, you need a help of the other product. Then economists build so many theories for different type of product, but we are mainly discussing about the what we call the normal product. And the definitions for a demand, then you can see the technical definitions for a demand. Then the purchasing power and will to spend based necessity. Then you see what are the keywords there. Purchasing power, that means ability to buy, and will to spend, you have to desire to spend your money for that. And the necessity, whatever you buy, it badly necessary for your consumption, otherwise it never become a effective demand. Then in order to be effective demand, we call purchasing power and will to spend based necessity should be there. So another technical definitions we can say, it is the quantity of a good buyers wish to purchase at each conceivable price, the willingness to pay a sum of money for a given amount of a specific good or service. Then you have three technical definitions from the three textbooks. You can see all these definitions are more or less simultaneously saying the same thing. There are different type of demands also available. You have ex-ante demand, that means it's intended or expected demands. Then for companies, they got to know it, what is a demand for a next 5 years their product. And the exposed demand, that means the actual demand or existing demand, what is the current demand. Then while you are what we call the estimation, the demand curve, you got to know the exposed demand. And ex-ante demand means that while you are forecasting your demand, then you got to know that what are the factors which are affected for ex-ante demands and the exposed demand. And another demand classification is a consumer demand and the market demand. Consumer demands means individual demand. For maybe the high product, that may be very important, like locomotives. Locomotive everybody can't buy, like airplanes everybody can't buy. Therefore, individual demand matters. And the market demand, we get a summate in the individual's demand. Then they have a speculative demand. Then people are demanding goods because others are demanding. Maybe we expect future prices are going up. Then like nowadays, you can see the land market. The Sri Lankan land market is now going, everybody want to buy the land because they feel that keeping money is useless. It's better to buy a land, and one day the land prices will go up. Then that is speculative demand for gold, that type of things. Sometimes for a share market, you will see that speculative. Then that way you can see there are different type of demands available for economists develop different theories for these different type of demands. But while we are discussing this the lecture, you will understand that different type of demand. Then you have the consumer demand curve and the market demand curve. That is a very important. Consumer demand curve means this relate to the amount the consumer is willing to buy to each consumable price per product. That means demand curve. Demand curve normally, the sloping downward. Prices are high, people buy less. Prices are low, people buy more. That is a way, normal consumer demand curve. You can observe, you visit to the maybe Moratu market and maybe Piliyandala market, Maharagama market, the Kottao market, and you can see how the consumers are behaving. You go and see that people are, maybe your partner, your mother, or somebody who's going to do shopping, they will go and ask from the 10 places what is the price of green chilies. If it is cheap, they buy more, and if it is expensive, they buy less. Then based on that one, the economists are building the theory. Economists check these 4 markets, and economists found that this is the majority of consumers' behavior. Then based on that one, we can easily say that except the price, all other factors that affect for demand is constant. Therefore, the price going up up and down, this is the way the consumer is behaving. Then based on that one, we will develop a downward sloping demand curve. And the market demand curve, you can see that generally derived by summing up the individual demand curves of the consumers horizontally. Shape of the curve depend on the market structure. When it comes to market structure, like a perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, monopolistic competition, and the duopoly type of things, market with a 1%, 2% up to the million people market, supplier also one supplier up to the million suppliers, based on that one, we can see the market demand curve is changing, sometimes it is a downward sloping, sometimes it is a horizontal one. It depends on the market structure. We'll discuss this one over the times, then you'll understand the difference between the consumer demand curve and the market demand curve. And there are other important things, factors influencing the individual demand. Let's assume that you are working in a maybe marketing department. If you are working in a marketing department, you got to know by heart this one, because that's always you have to estimate demand for your product. Then you got to know, always you have to forecast your demand next 5 years, 10 years, if your company want to produce maybe something for a market, they got to know demand. First, they have to estimate it. Thereafter, they have to forecast. Then you have to identify the factors affecting for an individual demand. The first one, price of the product. Then, as I said earlier, prices are high, people buy less. Prices are low, people buy more. There is a human behavior, and the income of the buyer, if your income is high, you don't care the current vegetable price increase, I think most of you are from the, the what we call the technocrat type of people, ICT type of people, then income is not a problem for you, in the current economic scenario does not affect you that much, because your income is high, even vegetable price goes up, milk powder, fuel low, whatever, you can still afford, therefore income matters, your income is high, you always buy more. Income is low, you buy less. And the taste also, if you don't have taste, you don't buy it, that means your desire, whatever you buy, you badly need to consume, if you have taste only, you consume it, and the habits and preferences, sometimes, some cultures, some societies, some families, they have habits, whenever they want to buy, they always go for these brands. And their preferences, they like to some type of brands, therefore that also important, habits and preference of your, maybe your household or your society or your country or your regions, peoples, your village peoples, Another one, the prices of the complementary and the substitute. Before you buy margarine, you look at the butter price. Then that is human nature, that is why you are going and selecting, choosing the things, that is allowed, many markets that is allowed, especially in supermarket, but in normal market that may be not allowed, but you select the things, thereafter whatever they give, you have to buy it. But supermarket, that was not the case. You can select by yourself, therefore the prices of the complementary goods and the substitute, sometimes whenever you buy the what we call the pen, you see the price of the ink. Whenever you buy the tire, you have to see the price of the tube for a large vehicles, small one is a tubeless now. And that way, you look at the prices of the complementary and the substitute, especially the jaggery and the sugar. Before you buy the sugar, sometime maybe if you look at the Kitul jaggery, then that way people are behaving. That is human behavior, before you buy anything, if it is a complementary good, we have to see what is the price of other goods. Otherwise, singly we can't consume it. We badly need the help of the other goods. And the substitute means instead of one thing, you can buy other things, because human are always comparing things, there is a human nature. The economies are built-in models, because our lab is a society, market. Therefore, there's a social science, there will be the instrument is a humans, we are checking human behavior. Whenever you have money, how do you behave? Whenever you go to supermarket, how do you behave? Economists, we build the model, we see that you get a cart and, sometimes you are given the list, or sometimes you are not given the list. But if you are heading the household, you know what to buy, you know what is the things what you need to run the house, your household, then one point you stop buying, instead of buying whole supermarket, one point you will stop buying, then thereafter you use your credit card or whatever cash, and because of the point you stop, we consider it as the point you became the equilibrium, you find your own equilibriums. Then we model it, we have a preferential curves, whatever you bought bundle of your goods, we are just put into curve, and thereafter your income we are just put in there, and we will say this is the place you find your equilibriums, but you never know there is a way you behave, economists are very good in building models, based on the human behavior. And the consumer expectation, other things, while buying things, people have a different expectation. Whenever you buy a house, you always see the what we call the after sale, what we call the future value of it, resale value. Whenever you buy the car, whenever you buy the maybe other durable things, capital goods, you have different expectations, then that also very badly affect to the individual demand. And advertisement effect, whenever they do heavily advertisement promotional campaign, it badly affect to you, because people are more or less following the crowd sometime, others are buying, you're also buying it. Companies also do it, companies are heavily investing on technology now, product process, so whatever, ICT or whatever digital technology, robotics, you name it, all these technologies, because sometimes due to advertisement effect, it will happen, other companies are using your competitors, and even the technology sellers put in this advertisement, then in sake of buying, you're buying it, but that's not effective demand. Then you can see these are the things what textbook says, the factors influencing the individual demand. But in addition to that, you can put so many other things like after sales service, brand names, and maybe friends advice, relatives advice, maybe your past experience, there are so many factors which influence the individual demand, not only the price, but economists consider price is the main things, other things also there. Due to the price, maybe the demand curve is moving what we call the upward or downward, we called it, it's not shifting, shifting happened due to the price is constant. Other factors which affect for demand is changing. Due to that one, demand curve can shift to the right or left, and shift in demand curve. The movement along the demand curve happening, other factors constant, only the price is changing. Then you can see the economy has a simple concepts, movement along the demand curve and the shift in demand curve. Movement along happening, price is only changing, other factors are constant. And the shift in demand curve, price is constant, other factors are changing. Then you'll see the latter part of this lecture, that one. And the factors influencing the market demand curve. If you're produced into the mass market, you got to know this is more or less some of the factors, some more or less individual demand affecting factors. Price of the product, so no argument. And the distribution of the income and the wealth of the nations, that is very important. In a country like Sri Lanka, you can see how our wealth is distributed. Maybe few people are consuming more, and the more people are consuming less, because the wealth, the disparity in country like Sri Lanka, that also very important. If your company is producing for a mass market, then you got to know the down side of the pyramid also. There are a lot of theories available. The poor people have a more market compared with rich people. Rich people sometimes don't buy. They go to buy if they want to Singapore, Dubai, London, or Paris, or wherever. But poor people stay here. Then the company should think about the bottom side of this pyramid. And that way the distribution of the income and the wealth also very important to companies. And the other one, the communities common habits and the preferences, different communities, religious groups, and different education levels, and they have a different way of different habits and preferences. That also very important while you estimating or forecasting the market demand. And living standard and spending habit on the society, or maybe the religion wise, ethnicity wise, and education wise, income wise, the location wise, that also very important. And the growth of the population, especially if you are producing for things for kids, especially milk powders, toys, and kiddies cloth and type of things, a population should grow, otherwise no point of entering that one. Therefore growth of the population also matters. Country like Sri Lanka, now we have a problem, our population also not growing. Another one, the age and the sex compositions of the populations. Then you can see that also problem in country like Sri Lanka. More people are becoming aging, and the lesser people are coming as younger. And the sex compositions also, you can see now more female, lesser males, and that also affect, because most of the goods demanded by the females, because they are the headed the kitchen, and the household. Then the men know more or less bring in the money, and the ladies are the guys who spend the money. Then therefore sex composition also matters. Country like Sri Lanka in demographic, the data, if you see that, we have serious issues with respect to the age, and especially more people are becoming aging, and the lesser people are now working, and more people are dependent and pensioners type of people. And sex compositions also, you can see that, more girls, lesser boys now. Another one, the future expectations, different people have different expectation of buying. And the tax structure also, nowadays you can see government is trying to heavily tax the people, then you don't have money to spend, your income minus T, what we call the Y minus T, become YD. That's a disposable income, we call it. Your disposable income becoming very low now because of the government is trying to come up with a heavy taxing system now, because government can't finance their expenditure now. And another one, maybe the tax structure. We will discuss one lesson regarding the tax structure. Then you'll understand direct tax, indirect tax, and the income tax. And there are VAT tax, and so many import tax, export tax, the regional level like provincial taxes, municipal taxes. There are plenty of taxes everywhere. And other one, the invention and innovation. That is your area. Due to invention and innovations, there are a lot of things becoming very cheap. Quality is going up. That also very important, and new products are coming to market. And the fashion also, that's very important. Due to the season, people are following the fashions, especially young people, they are following the fashions. And the weather also very important. Sometime maybe the good weather, the especially monsoon comes on time, the farmers have a good harvest in, agriculture product completely depend on the weathers, and the dairy product, and the customs of the society, and the advertisement effect. Then you can see the factors affecting for a market demand. Whenever you want to estimate the demand, then you got to know these things. You have to find these things, and you have to visit the field, and you have to collect the data on these things, and there you have to estimate the demand curve. You have to forecast the demand curve. Likewise, the growth of the population for the next 5 years, how it going to happen? Age and sex composition of the Sri Lankan population next 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. If you're in a housing business or vehicle production, and compute, or maybe whatever, the durable things, you have to the things a long-term situation. You're learning from other lecturers also the forecasting and the especially the estimation techniques. You have the module called the quantitative modules, then they will teach it. The business, this module is not going to teach you the what we call the estimation and the forecasting techniques. And now we can go for the demand functions and the demand equations. Then you can see the demand equation situations. Demand equation situation, you can see that only the price is changing, and other things, all the things are constant. And the demand functions, you can see not only price, even you can see the price of the good is concerns, and the price of substitution and complementary goods, income, taste, expectation, advertisement, government influence. That also very important. When it comes to the demand estimations, the government can give you subsidy. They can help you. Giving very many free things, and adding very many things to your income. And the same time, they are very good in taxing. Sometimes they are directly controlling sometimes something, and they are maybe only the supplier in the economy. In that way, you can say that the demand functions not only the price, but we consider everything together. But in demand equations, only the price is going up and down. Then what is going to happen? Then you can see the technical definitions between the demand equations and the demand functions. And you can see the demand curve. Then the situation, you can see the demand schedule, we call it. The prices are going up, then the demand is going down. Other way around, prices are going down, demand is going up. Then based on that one, we can easily develop a theory. Likewise, the demand curve. That is why I said, you have to visit the Piliyandala market and the Moroto market, Kottawa market, Maharagam market, and you observe how the human behavior. You stay there 1 hour, and you can see the before buy anything, the people go to maybe 2-3 places, and they do see the price. But if you go to the green, buy the 500 gram of green chilies, no difference the price. They everywhere the same price. Then that is the beauty of the market mechanism. Sometimes these traders are not talking to each other. Everything depend on supply demand. Sometimes prices are high. You ask why today green chilies prices are high, then they'll say no supply, no fertilizer. Then that way you can see supply demand equate and fix the price. Then you can see the demand curve we derive out of the practical market. Then you can see the demand curve, the relations between the price and the quantity demanded, holding other factors constant. Only the price is going up and down, then what is going to happen for a quantity demanded? Then if the price is stable, other factors changing, we say it's a shift of the demand. It's not a movement along the demand curve. Demand curve always talk about the movement along the demand curve. Then analysis of the demand functions. Thereafter, we can analyze the demand, can see the with respect to the change in all factors with affect for a demand. Then you can see paper price is going up and down, what is going to happen. Prices of the substitution and the complementary goods go up and down, what is going to happen. Income goes up and down, what is going to happen. Taste goes up and down, what is going to happen. Then the expectations goes up and down. And nowadays, the more expectation for the long-term investment rather than keeping the cash. Maybe land prices are now going up because people have different expectations, and the gold prices are going up. And the advertisement effect also, it badly affect, and the government influence also. Government sometimes taxing, government giving direct control, or sometimes government giving subsidies to people. And the weather also, if a monsoon come on time, the farmers crops production going up. The people, what we call the cows in the Ambe will give a more milk cows compared with the cows in the what we call the Polonaru. Then you can see whether directly affect for the more or less demand and the supply both. Then I don't want to go into detail how to analyze it. You can do it as a, this is a very simple example. In your textbooks, we have the respective chapter. Even I gave that chapter to you, the Pindeck and Robin Field, the chapter also in your, what we call your Moodle, I just cut it, the chapter, and gave to you. So you can read, sometimes some of you are maybe first time listening to the subjects. Then you can just read that one. I'm quite sure all of you learn these subjects. Maybe your undergraduate level, even engineering faculty, we are teaching to them, heavily we are teaching this stuff to the engineering degree. Therefore, you can't say this is the first time you are learning it. You are first time learning. So please visit, read that chapter, I already uploaded the chapter to your Moodle. And thereafter, this is one by one we can explain, X and Y are substitute. Price of the substitution goods goes up, then the quantity demanded from the good is concerned goes up. Then you can see the butter price goes up, then without any reasons, margarine demand is going up. And that way, then the price of the substitution good goes down, then the quantity demanded from the good is concerned goes down. Then other way around, the butter price is going down, then the people, whoever consume the margarine so far, they also come in to buy the butter. And that way, you can analyze, that's a practical situation, Then complementary goods also, you can say the A and B are complementary good. Without help of the other goods, you can't consume it. The price of the complement good goes up, then the quantity demanded from the good is concerned goes down. The tie and tube and the ink and pen, and there are so many complementary goods available. And the price of the complementary goods goes down, then the quantity demanded from the good is concerned goes up. Then you have to see what type of good you are producing. Is it a substitution good or is it a complementary goods? Then according to that, you have to play with the price. Then price depend on the elasticity. We'll discuss elasticity also later part of this lecture. The price of independent good goes up or down, then the quantity demanded from the good is concerned does not have any impact. The relation is a zero. Then if you are producing the independent good, that's better, rather than the complementary in other one. Then this is the other way around, the income goes up, then what is going to happen for a normal goods? The income goes down, then the demand for inferior goods goes up. Then you can see the income goes up, then the demand for inferior goods goes down, like the chicken and the dry fish case. And out of that one, economists are generating another law, what we call the Angel's law. As income rises, the proportion of expenditure on all necessities, foods decline, and luxuries increase. That means non-necessities. That is why, if you are in a country like Sri Lanka, you can see the GDP per capita is going up. They don't invest on the food area, don't start the retail or wholesale food business. You go to some other things like refrigerators, cars, houses, apartment, people looking for the computers in that type of things, not for foods, proportionately they are spending more on the luxuries, less on the necessities, because they are already saturated spending on the foods area. Then what's called the Angel's law, that we prove from the market that one. And the consumer's taste goes up, we can see they are demanding more, taste can go up due to very many reasons, maybe sometimes medical advice, or maybe the medical research found that, drinking tea, you become healthy, then tomorrow you don't have a tea in the market, sometimes maybe drinking black tea or green tea, you can get out of the COVID-19. Then tomorrow you can't buy a tea in the market, everybody want to buy it, that way, because the demand curve can, taste can go up due to very many advertisement is the, promotional campaign is the best things to increase your taste. and the expectation, advertisement, weathers, all these things you can correlate and you can see how it's going to affect government influence. Like tax has a negative and the subsidy has a positive. Sometimes government feel that poor people can't afford the milk powder. Then government give each and every milk powder packet subsidy to the producer. Then everybody can take it. Sometimes they can ration it and give through the administrative system, like a gram Seva issue. Maybe one household who has a kids, maybe 2 packets for 100 rupees. Other people have to buy from the market very high price because they are targeted subsidies. Some countries are doing it. Sri Lanka still we don't do that, but in the maybe in the near future they may have to do it. Otherwise all the kids in this country can't drink a milk. That has a sometime maybe we do it for the health reasons, for tobacco, alcohol we do it. We heavily tax it because our idea is to have a healthy nation. If you drink, it's trouble. If you get sick, you end up with a government hospital. Then government has to buy, the medicine and the recruiting doctors and having more words and expand in hospitals. The best thing is to heavily tax the alcohol, tobacco. Then people can't afford it. And that way, because there are so many objectives in taxing and the giving subsidies, market mechanism. We'll discuss that one in later part of our lectures. So there's some issues, right? Then you can see the inverse relations between, that means negative relations between the price and the quantity demanded depend on the substitution effect of price changes and the income effect of price changes. We have to see why the demand curve is sloping downward. Whenever prices are up, people are buy less. Prices are low, people buy more. Why it is happening? The economic explanation we give due to the substitution effect of price changes. That means X and Y are substituted. Price of X goes up, then consumers shift from X to Y. Price of X goes down, then the consumers shift Y to X. That is why what we call substitution effect of price changes. And another one, the income effect of price changes. If a consumer's real income goes up, then they will demand more, and if their real income goes down, they will demand less. That is a simple way of explanation. Substitution effect of a price changes and the income effect of price changes. Due to that one, demand curve is sloping downward. It has a negative relations between the price and the quantity demanded. And this can be shown through another approach, like a marginality approach, heavily mathematical approach. You have indifference curve approach, and you have reveal preference approach. There are so many theories available to discuss about why the demand curve is sloping downward, because we are trying to read the human mind. Whenever prices are high, why people are buying less? Prices are low, people buy more. Why it is? Economics has so many mathematical explanation for that one, because we are also science. Likewise, any other social science we consider as a science, and then we follow the scientific way of taking the decision. We go to the field and we collect the data, we analyze, and we found these relations. Based on that, we will discuss that one in our fourth lecture regarding why the demand curve is sloping downward. What is the economic explanation for that one? And you find that the normal demand curve is a downward sloping, but there are practically you find there are unusual upward sloping demand curve that is not in our syllabus. But if anybody interested, they can read that in textbooks. We have the separate section for that one. Given product, if prices falls while income is rising, consumers buy less given good because they go for superior goods. If prices increase while income is dropping, they buy more given goods because they cannot afford superior goods. And we have an article of snob affilo conspicuous consumption. People buy as a state of symbol, prestigious goods, expensive or unique goods like diamonds, antiques, and Rolls Royce. They are the behavior, buying behavior we can't explain through the normal product behavior. Then you can see the influence of conspicuous prices upon consumption is referred as a Veblen effect. There are different theories available. That's not in because all the cars do the same thing. Movement from the one place to another place. But human some people like very expensive cars. Then why? Because all the Maruti do the same thing. Likewise, the Rolls Royce do. But even though human mind, human behavior, then economics has a different theories to explain that behavior. And speculation behavior, demand curve also maybe upward sloping demand curve. If prices are going up, people buy people expect future prices rise and then buy more share. And some in gold market, you can see the, prices are low, also people buy, prices are going up, also people buy. Share market also same. The consumer psychological bias, upward market behavior, especially if you see your key government officers, big businessmen, politicians buying behavior, because sometimes that's not their money, somebody's money, maybe taxpayers' money, they don't care it. Some people have a brand loyalty that is not covered by the normal demand curve. We have a special demand curve to explain that one. That is not in your syllabus. If anybody interested, you can read the textbooks. We have a different theories to explain that one. In agriculture market, sometimes not working according to the normal demand curve. It has a cobweb behavior, whenever prices are going up, everybody want to cultivate that one. Then the more demand, more supply, lesser demand, then the prices are going down. Then the next season they do see another crop prices are going up. All the farmers are chasing their crops. Therefore, market mechanism never favorable or never give justice to the farmers, That's happening always. Then that is not covered with the normal demand curve. Then we have a cobweb theory, stable cobweb, unstable cobweb theories. We'll discuss that on the latter part of our lectures. And we have network externalities in the market demand, the bandwagon or demonstration effect, demand generated due to the others' persuasions, especially young people, imitation or stimulation by others. Sometimes in undergraduate, you can see that they are wearing the same type of cloth, during the different seasons, they are following others, same cloth and, same shoes and, and the consumers are motivated to follow the crowd, especially young people are, following the crowd. The snob or Veblen effect, the person's desire to own unique high price good, you find there are some consumers, economic has a different theories to explain the unique consumers behavior. Now we can go for a change and shift in demand curve. Then you can see the movement along the demand curve, and this is a shift in the demand curve. Then you can say change means movement up, or up means expansion, or down means contractions. Then you have expansion or contraction. Here the other factors affecting for a demand is stable except the price. Price is only changing. Then what is going to happen for a demand? Movement along the demand curve. This is a shift in the demand curve. Then you can see it can be shift to the left or right. If it is a left, it is a decrease. If it is the right, it is a increase the demand. Then this is happening to the other factors that affect for a demand. Due to that one, the demand curve, then the economists analyze in both way the demand. We can go to the practice and you can see how it is working. The movement along the demand curve, shift in the demand curve. If you are working to the marketing department, maybe your marketing lecturers are further explaining the importance of these two concepts: movement along the demand curve and the shift in the demand curve, the factors that affect in how do you collect the data on that one, how do you estimate, and how do you forecast that. That part we also do, and especially marketing people also do. Now we have some idea about the demand. Is a one part of the market mechanisms, like one part of the scissors, you need a boat to cut something, scissor. Then other part is a supply. Then you can see what is the textbooks or technical demand, technical definitions for the definitions for a supply. The amount which supply is willing to sell. Then you can see the amount which supply is willing to sell, and it is the quantity of a good supplier wish to sell at each consumable price over a specific time period. Then the supply curve behavior is completely different from the demand curve behavior. Prices are high, they supply more. Prices are low, they supply less. Then that is why supply curve is upward curve, but the demand curve is a downward sloping curve. Then you can see the supply equations. Then QS is a quantity supplied is a functions of the prices, and you can see how to figure out the supply curve. And you can see the slope is a positive, but demand curve slope is a -1. Then you can see the QD is a functions of the P, price of the good is concerns, and especially that will affect for a supply, the prices of the substitution and complementary goods that also affect for the quantity supplied, and the technology also, that is a U area. How that if a technology price is cheap or technology price is expensive, by look at that one, they will decide to go for a more technology oriented the process, or maybe product, or maybe the more machinery oriented one, or maybe more labor oriented one. If the labor is cheaper, then go for a labor. Country like Sri Lanka, we have enough labor. And the prices of the inputs. You remember inputs. The what we call the land, labor, capital, and other raw materials. And the business expectations. Different suppliers have a different expectation. Some people want to serve for a nation. If you ask the people like Harish Chandra, maybe DSI, that the people say that we are not only profit, but we will have other objectives to achieve. But if you ask from the multinational corporation, they say, no, we are here to make only money. We may have some other things also happening, while we are doing business, we are giving jobs to others, then the income goes to family, and, family is surviving, and, they are looking after sometime maybe art, culture, and, help into the so many charity things, you have a different business, have a different expectations. Local business is different from multinationals. Rural business is a different from the city business. Small and the medium scale business is a different from large scale business. And that way you can see sector wise also. And the number of suppliers in the market, that also affect for supply. If you do get any product, you don't find 1,000 suppliers, maybe you have a maybe maximum 10, each and everybody has some market share. And the government influence also, government can change supply through their taxes, through their what we call through their direct influence, or through their subsidies, therefore government influence also matters. And the weather also, likewise, whenever monsoons comes, the farmers giving a good yield, farmers are getting good production, and the good weather, people productivity also going up, the people who work in a rural area, their productivity may be very high compared with the city people, that is why we are artificially creating the AC environment inside, rather natural one. Then we feel that, productivity is going up. Therefore weather also matters, demand for also, you can see the likewise earlier we discussed, the hot day, big demand for ice cream, but cool day there's, rainy days, no demand for ice cream at all, supply also same, whether has a direct impact for us supply, especially agriculture and the dairy product. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
we can.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
You are with me, right?
Yes.
Okay, then we can supply schedule, and the behavior of a supplier is at every price. Likewise, earlier I said, prices are high, supply more, prices are low, they supply less. That is the supplier's behavior. They look at the sometime maybe the price of the inputs, raw materials, and what is the labor price, what is the capital price, interest rate, and there are so many things. Raw material price nowadays, you can see the supply curve is in real trouble, country like Sri Lanka. And likewise the demand also, you can see supply also, we can say market supply and the individual supply. Then market supply is the summation or aggregation of the individual supply curve for a specific product. Then you can see the supply curve, the relationship between the price and the quantity supplied, holding other factors constant, then only the price is changing. And likewise, the demand, we can see a movement along the supply curve, and the shift in the supply curve. Shift in supply curve, more or less, the price is stable. Other factors that affect for supply change, due to that one, supply curve can shift to the left or right. Then you can see prices are low, less supply, prices are high, more supply. Positive relationship between the price and the quantity supplied. The analysis of the supply functions, likewise the demand functions, we can take each and every factor and we can analyze how that is going to affect for a quantity supplied. This QD should be QS, price of the good is concerned, the price of the substitution and the complementary goods, technology, the price of the inputs, expectations, government influence, whether you can add as much as, there are very many factors affect for maybe sometimes countries, the situation, national ecosystems, maybe today you can see the many companies are saying they don't want to continue the business, because they have serious problem. Most of the people, those who depend on the foreign inputs, they say no dollars to, there are a lot of problems, most of the manufacturers, if you see the media, you can say the Sri Lankan supply area now maybe a lot of problems, and the many more problems will come in the coming few months. And the change and shift in supply, you can say the change means movement up or down. That means extension or contractions. Then you can see the supply curve. The A to B is up and the B to A is down. Then you can see here only the price is changing. Other factors that affect for supply is a constant. And here other way around, what we call the shift in supply. Price is stable. Other factors that affect for supply is changing. Due to that one, the supply curve shift into left or right. If it is going to the B place, then we say supply decrease, and to the C place supply increase. And your textbooks, you have so many examples regarding the shift and the change in the supply curve. Now we have a supply demand, and we can put both together now. then what we call we can easily find equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. Equilibrium price equalize quantity supply to the quantity demanded, and it clears the market. The above this price, you see the excess demand, and below this price excess supply, then it has a natural tendency towards to clear the market. Then you can see the price is 30 and the quantity 80, then market clearing. That is why today the 500 gram of carrot may be 200 rupees, according to supply demand, whatever amount of carrot came and whatever the amount of demand generated from the market. Sometimes you can go and see the economic centers. We are always visiting for some research work. Then you can see the today carrot price 501 kilo. Then if you ask for the person, he says the carrot didn't come today. That is why supply has a problem. Then the price fixed according to the shortage of the supply and the demand situations. Then we can see each and every market behave this manner. Sometimes government can influence this market mechanism through taxes, direct controls, or maybe subsidies, maybe guaranteed prices schemes, and there are a lot of things government can do to change this one. Then you can see that we can have floor price, or we can have a ceiling price. Then the price controls, that means government interference to the market to forbid the adjustment to prices to clear the market. We say this is a bad. Government duty is not to put the hand to the market mechanisms. But the country like Sri Lanka, we don't have everybody with the decent income. Therefore, poor people can't afford it. Therefore, government is always intervening into the market mechanisms, and they want to give a good price for suppliers like farmers or maybe poor people. And the good should be affordable to everybody, especially the low income group. Therefore, government always play with these market mechanisms to their taxes, direct control, subsidies. Then you can see floor prices. Floor prices always above the equilibrium price. That means minimum prices above the equilibrium price. Sometimes market is giving a 30 rupees for a paddy kilo, but government say no, it is wrong. We will give a 75 rupees. Nowadays, you can see in media there is a debate regarding the farmers saying we want 125. Then they ask in very high floor price because the government didn't give a fertilizer and other inputs to them. Then they have a lot of loss in their yield, production. Then they ask in the ceiling price. Sometime maybe you can see the maximum price below the equilibrium price. Sometimes government put in milk powder. Then everybody has to drink milk. All the kids in this country has to right to drink the milk. Then government put in, because the equilibrium price may be 1,000. But government say, look, we will give some subsidies to each and every packet for the milk powder manufacturer. Then they put a ceiling price. Ceiling price always below the equilibrium price. You find practically it is happening. Then thereafter we can play with what we call this price market mechanism with a comparative static analysis. This is simple mathematics. We are comparing different equilibriums together, static situations together. The response of price and quantity to change in the demand and supply. It is always happening in the market. Shift in demand curve to both directions while supply is stable. Then you can see supply is stable, demand can shift to both directions due to very many reasons. Then the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantities are changing. And the other way around, you can see the demand is stable, even though supply can change to the different directions due to very many reasons. Then you can see the the proportions or different proportions it can happen. Then you can see both supply and demand curve shift into the both directions at the same percentage, same proportions. Then you can see even the equilibrium price is same, but equilibrium quantity is changing. In your textbooks, you have with a lot of practical examples. This is practically happening in the market. You do say day and night. If you go to morning one price, mid-time another price, afternoon another price. If you go to 8 o'clock, nothing available in the market. Market cleared completely. Then till tomorrow morning, you have to wait till to buy something. That is the beauty of the market mechanisms. If you ask from the green chilies 500 gram everywhere, maybe today 300 rupees. But no one knows who they produce these green chilies. We know only farmers did it. But by look at the shape and the appearance, we can say where it comes. But even though these traders are not talking to each other, if you ask from the Maharagama or maybe Piliyandala, Kottava, or maybe Morotua, you can see everywhere 500 gram of chilies is 300 rupees. How it can happen? Because everything coming to the PETA, all these things come to the economic centers and finally coming to the PETA or PALI, and thereafter they fix the prices, and thereafter again going. Price fixing happening according to supply demand. There are middlemen available in supply chain, and there's sometimes waste available. They don't contribute anything, but they add only cost. This is a practical see. That is why these demand curves are shifting up and down. Supply and demand curves shift into the both directions in the different proportions. Then you can see what is going to happen for quantity demanded and the equilibrium price. And this you can play with it. Normally for undergraduates, we heavily give this type of exercise to play with it. Sometimes you visit the market and you identify the product. You prove this one, and the demand 10% up, supply 5% up. Then what is going to happen for quantity demanded and the price? Practically, these things are happening in the market. Demand 5% down, supply 10% down. We say the comparative static analysis. We are comparing different equilibriums together in market. Normally, these things happen nowadays. Software available, there are software demand software available. You put a different data and then you can work out that one. Central bank people, planning minister, treasury, all the economists during the budget preparation, they do for each and every product, they do these simulations. Then you can see the demand 10% down and supply 5% down. Then what is going to happen for a price and what is going to happen for a quantity demanded, especially equilibrium price and the quantity. And you can see the based on that one, economists are taking another important concept, consumer surplus and the producer surplus. Then you can see the consumer surplus. There are some consumers available in the market. They can buy this much high price, this much low quantity. And you can see this much high price paying, this much low quantity. But now everybody can buy for a low price P, whatever they like quantity they can buy. That is the beauty of the consumer surplus. There are some consumers available in the market. They can pay even 5,000 rupees for a 1 kilo price. But now they don't want to pay 5,000. Everybody can buy for a 300 rupees per kilo of basmati, or maybe whatever available high variety of price. Then you can see consumers are enjoying this much surplus thanks to the market mechanisms. And the producers also same. There are some producers available. They like to produce this much low quantity for this much low price. But now they can produce whatever they like amount up to this point to this much high price. Then you can see producers also enjoying some form of surplus. Then sometimes government is enlarging this one by giving them more subsidies. Sometimes government is taking something out of this, imposing taxes. They do it. Sometimes they take from the consumers plus producers. Sometimes they only take in the consumers, or sometimes they only take in the producers. It depends on the elasticity. Then you can see the difference between the total amount of money an individual would be prepared to pay for a given quantity of a good and the amount actually they are paid. There are some consumers, they like to pay this much high price to get this much low quantity, but now they can pay this much low price to get whatever they like quantity. Then what is a consumer surplus? Then you can see this concept is useful to public policy making. We will do some cases later part of our lectures. Then you will understand consumer surplus and the producer surplus are two important concepts in economics. We apply into very many practical public policy making decisions and pricing decisions and the taxing decisions, welfare decisions. Then you can see the producer surplus is there. Producers are enjoying this much huge surplus. Consumers are enjoying. Then government takes something out of it by taxing, as well as by sometimes government enlarging it by giving subsidies. Sometimes government directly controlling it. Consumer surplus, even the price discrimination, they do it. Some people are taking full consumer surplus out. Price first order or price, or maybe second order price, or third order price discrimination. When it comes to that lesson, we will discuss that part of it. Then you can see for business firm, this concept shows a possible social of additional income, possibility of price discrimination, because they know there are some consumers available in the market. They can pay very high. Why don't you charge from them high? Then they can maximize their profit. For government tax policies, and there are so many other public policy decisions they can make out of by look at these both concepts. Using these concepts, we can place a monetary value on activities that do not appear to have a market price. Sometimes based on this one, we can give a price for your Kataragam ceremonial city, or Dalada Malika, or maybe Sigiri Rock, or whatever. Then you can see using these concepts, we can place a monetary value on activities that do not appear to have a market price. Then we will discuss that one in our case study area. Then you will see that these are very important concepts. Right, we'll go to the other part of our PowerPoint. Right. And so far we said something in a very qualitative manner. Now we can go for the quantitative manner, what we call the elasticity of demands. Whatever we said, now we want to measure it, analytics way, we want to measure, and we want to say, if you increase price this much, how much you are going to lose in the market. And if you decrease your price, how much you are going to get, what type of percentage your revenue is going up. Then you can see elasticity means the measurement of responsiveness of one variable to other variable, not only in economics, but even other sciences. Elasticity we are heavily using, X is a function of the Y, then X is a dependent variable, Y is an independent variable. If Y change, how it is going to affect for X, elasticity measure it, price and the quantity and the revenue. Then you can see an elasticity of demand means percentage change in the demand for a good A over percentage change in an independent variables. Then in your syllabus, you have three main elasticities: price elasticity of demand, cross price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand. Then I'll again repeat it: price elasticity of demand. If a price going up and down, then what is going to happen for your quantity demanded and your revenue will definitely affect, and your profitability. And the cross price elasticity, that means your what we call your substitution and the complementary goods nature. And the income elasticity, that means your income goes up and down, then what is going to happen for your product demand, or maybe finally it end up with your revenue. And there are other elasticities available. You have a supply elasticity, you have advertising and cross-advertising elasticity. Your marketing lecturer going to do that one before you launch any marketing campaign or maybe sales promotions. Before that one, you have to calculate your advertising and cross-advertising elasticity. Then it is better to go for it, or you have to stop it. And the conjectural price elasticity, import and export elasticities. Then you find there are very many elasticities available. Then the price elasticity of demands, that means the percentage change in the quantity of a good demanded divided by the corresponding percentage change in its price. This is related with the movement along the demand curve. Then this is the formula for that one. Then the point elasticity, one point in a demand curve, we are selecting and we are trying to do it. Then you can see elasticity measures give two pieces of information. It shows science of the relationship between the changes in the relevant variables. It measures the extent to which quantity respond to the change in the price. Generally, price elasticity can be in three ranges. It can be inelastic. That is a very good, Inelastic means you increase the price, still people want to get your product, Then you can increase price as much as still people like to buy your product. And the unitary situations, if you increase or decrease, you don't get extra income out of that. Then it's better to not to put your hand to the price and you try to reduce your cost. And the price elastic situation, that is a dangerous situation. If you increase the price, then people will leave your goods. Then you have to calculate what type of elasticity for your product. Is it elastic, inelastic, or unitary? This is the thing what the marketing department people are doing, And you have another one, the arc elasticity. Sometimes you may don't have a single point data. If you can find a 2-point data, then you can do easily arc elasticity. That will allow you to calculate elasticity in the two price and the two quantity combination. This is a formula. In your case study, you will understand how to do that one. Then we will give a data, the with respect to quantity demand changes and prices and these changes. Then you put in the formula and automatically coming. Thereafter, you have to know how to interpret it. It is a elastic or inelastic or unitary. Then you can see the elasticity along a linear demand curve. You find all these elasticities: perfect elastic situation, elastic range, the point of unitary elasticity, middle of that, and the inelastic range, and the perfect inelastic range, and that way. And one by one, we can explain unitary elasticity. You can see P can price up 5%, then the quantity demanded down 5%, price down 5%, quantity demanded up 5%. There's no difference. Then it's better not to put your hand into these rectangular hyperbola situations, unitary situations. And the inelastic situations, very large price changes, but a small demand you are losing. Then you can see large range of price changes, but small changes of quantity demand. It's a very good situation. If I look at the shape of the curve, you can say that, elastic or inelastic, the demand for your product. Another one, you can see elastic situation, but you can see more flatter. Small range of price changes, but massive changes quantity of demand. And you have a perfect inelastic situations. then you can see the prices are not responding to the quantity. If prices go up and down, only you have to buy the same amount. Likewise, the what we call the table salt, if price go down, you can't eat more salt, but there are some product available in the market, they are not price sensitive. Even if it is 100 rupees 1 kilo, you have to buy. Even if it is 10 rupees, you have to buy the same quantity. You can't eat more salt or less. Even sugar situation also same. And this is a perfect elastic. If you increase the price, no one want to buy your product, and without any respect of the price, people are demanding different quantities. And the factors affecting for the price elasticity, that's very important. As a manager, you got to know it, because there are software available now. You put all these what we call the price data, demand data, change in price, change in demand, then automatically come in. You have to know it is elastic or inelastic, or it is a unitary situations. According to that one, you decide to increase price or decrease the price, or maybe reduce the cost. Then here the factors affect for price elasticity. Time period, and that means more time, lesser elasticity. If you have more time, you can easily find more substitute or maybe alternatives. Time period. Sometimes maybe one of your relatives in a hospital. Then doctor prescribe medicine. You don't have time to go and see where the cheaper medicines. You just go and buy there. If you have more time, then you go and find alternative, substitute, and things like. Time period matters, and the addictive nature for good or service. More addiction, lesser elasticity. You don't care it. If you're a the alcoholic or drugs people, nightclub people, you don't care price, you are addicted to that one, and the availability of the substitute and their quality, sometimes maybe substitute not available, sometimes substitute are there, their quality in real questions there. If you are in a produce it for a high end or niche market or export market, then quality matters. Therefore price range, if it is a small range, you don't care. If it is a large range of increase or decrease, you have to care. And the necessity of the goods, if a good is not necessary, if a price goes up, the best thing is, you just delete from your household good list that, and the share of the income is spent on the good. Small share, you don't care. If it's a large share, you really care about that. And the consumer's ability to change his environment whenever electricity prices goes up, you do electricity consume, the consume during the non-peak times, telephone tariffs, and then during the seasons, hotel prices may up, and you go for non-seasons, your vacations, then consumer has ability to change his environment. They do that one, therefore that also affect. And the imports of the price, why do we have to calculate elasticity? As a manager, you got to know. It's a very expensive work. You have to go to market, you have to estimate demand, you have to forecast, you have to get the data, and you have to do market surveys. There are some specialized companies available, then they do it, but they're charging very high. The why we have to calculate the price elasticity, because to determine the pricing policies and pricing strategy, you got to have this data. Pricing, if you can fix the right price, you are a winner of the market. Pricing matters if you are in a business. Wrong pricing will maybe end your business. Right pricing, how do you do that one? Scientific pricing, you badly need a fact, figures, data, evidence. Therefore, to determine the pricing policies and strategy, you have to calculate the price elasticity, to select the inputs, to select the market, to maximize your revenue. You are in a business to make a money, to maximize your revenue. Then you got to do it scientifically, to government taxation policies. The government always do when it comes to the budget times, when it comes to the policy, putting interest rate up and down, and there are monetary policy decision, no fiscal policy decisions. Government do all these elasticity calculations for each and every goods, and the firm and the market elasticity, there are two different concepts. When it comes to the market structure, lectures we will explain. Then the firm and market elasticity depend on the market structure. It's a monopoly, same, other market different. We'll discuss that one when it comes to the market structure lecture. And another elasticity, so far we discussed price elasticity. If a price going up and down, what is going to happen for a quantity demanded, and how it's going to affect for a revenue, total revenue, and your profitability. And here the cross elasticity of demand. This is with the shift in demand curve. So far we discussed movement along the demand curve. It can be defined as the responsiveness of demand for one product to change in the price of the other product. Then we can say that it can be a complementary, or it can be a substitute goods. Then you can see the formula is there. Percentage change in quantity demand for a good A over percentage change in the price of the good B. Then you can see imports. Why do we have to calculate another elasticity? Even the price elasticity calculation is costing and consuming time and it's a lot of hassles. But why do we have to calculate another elasticity? Because to check the impact of prices of other goods to the goods concerned. That's a very important. Likewise, maybe Unilever, Procter and Gamble, because they are producing 1,000 range of product. Single source, palm oil, food range, detergents, and other the toothpaste and other range, then the impact of prices of other goods to the goods concern, sometimes maybe your competitors goods, to formulate the good pricing strategy. If you have more information, so you can go for a better pricing strategy. To analyze risks associated with the various type of goods, conglomerate like John Keel's, food cities, they produce, now they're starting to manufacture their own product. Then they have to see the risks associated with the various type of goods, check the effectiveness of advertising to create a brand loyalty. Marketing lecturer explained that one. To measure interrelationship between the industries, to identify the boundaries of marketing, differentiate product, then you can see the different elasticities are given a different type of informations to take a right decision. Excuse me. The nature of the cross price elasticity, you can see cross price elasticity for substitute goods are always come in the positive value. Cross price elasticity for complement goods are always come in the negative value. And the cross price elasticity for independent goods always come in the zero. There's no relations between these two goods. And you have some examples there, complements and the substitutes there. Then the formula is there. You can see these examples. And I don't want to go into detail. And you have another elasticity, income elasticity of demand. In your syllabus, you have 3 types of elasticity: price, cross price, and the income elasticity of demand. This measures the responsiveness of quantity demanded to change in the income, holding other factors are constant. That means shift in demand. And you can see the formula, and the percentage change in the quantity demanded over the percentage change in the disposable income. Disposable means Y minus T. Whatever your income you get, government takes something out of as a tax. Then it becomes YD. Then that is why the change in disposable income is a YD. For normal goods, this is a positive, and for inferior goods, this is a negative. Your income is going up. To a dry fish to the chicken, you are changing, public transport to private car, beer to the whiskey. Then imports. Why do we have to calculate another elasticity? Because to check the future demands and the decision on the investment, policy decision in international trade, effect of changes in the real income. And you can see elasticity can be measured for other variables such as advertising and the interest rate. Because if you can identify one as a dependent, other as independent, you can easily measure it, Central bank people, before they do the devaluation, they do the export elasticity, import elasticity. And that way, then the income elasticity and the value and the type of the goods, you can see the income elasticity. This range, what is the descriptor there, type of the goods. Then you can say is the necessities, luxuries, or inferior, or other type of goods. Then according to this value of the income elasticity and the terminology we are using. So please refer to that one. I think all of you are reading the lecture and coming, yeah? Then you get a clear idea. Income and the elasticity relationships, you can see that, income elasticity 0 means then that is the independent goods, and the income elasticity behavior, this one, what we call the inferior goods, other one is a normal goods. And you see this one, income elasticity, then income elasticity of demand, you can see some are negative. If it is a negative, you say it's inferior, beer is an inferior product, income goes up, you are going for a whiskey. And the tobacco also, you can see inferior, your education goes up, income goes up, so you don't want to smoke, you don't want to eat the tobacco, that way. Some are more than one, some are less than one. Then you should, as a manager, you should interpret it. What type of goods this one? Complementary or substitute, independent goods, is inferior product, that way. And you have the relations between the total revenue, average revenue, marginal revenue. Then you can see the elasticity also we can put there. Total revenue means P multiplied QD, whatever price you sell, the amount you sell, QD. And thereafter you have average revenue, you have a marginal revenue. This is important, when it comes to the profit maximization lessons we are discussing. Then you can see the Angel's law also we are getting out of this income elasticity things. Then thereafter you can see effect of elasticity on the revenue of a price changes. Then you can see elastic range, inelastic range, unit range. Then how the total income is behaving. Then these things we will really discuss when it comes to the market structure. Therefore, elasticity is a very important concepts. And this on the effect of the price elasticity on the revenge, on the revenue of a price change. Then you can see value of this elasticity and the terminology: perfect inelastic, relative inelastic, unitary elasticity, relatively elastic, perfect elasticity. Then what is a descriptor, and the change in total revenue from sales. Then this is important as a managers, elasticity value and how it's going to affect for your total revenue, especially your sales revenue. These are important things. Another one, the cross price elasticity and relations between the goods. Then you can see positive cross elasticity, negative cross elasticity, zero cross elasticity, substitute, complementary, and independent goods, no relations. And same, likewise, the demand elasticity, supply elasticity also we can analyze. That is not in your syllabus. And you can see this always go with a lag. If price change, it takes some time to respond, supply to price changes in the some sector, especially agriculture sector. You can say maybe this year production, or maybe this season production, maybe last season price. It takes 3 months to come to the market. It has a lags. Then likewise, that one you can see this is a elastic situation, this is an inelastic situation, this is a unitary situation, and this is a perfect elastic supply, perfect inelastic supply. Likewise, the demand one, we can analyze that one. And advertise inelasticity, your marketing lecturer going to explain a measure of the effect of a change in advertising upon the sales of a given good. Then you can see elastic situation, inelastic situation. Inelastic situation means large amount of expenditure needed to increase the demand. Then you have to have a massive marketing campaign or promotional campaign if you have inelastic situations. Elastic situation, a small amount of expenditure needed to increase the demand. If your product has elastic situation, go for it. Inelastic, no need to go it, because prices are going up, still people coming to your product. And cross advertising elasticity, these things will explain by the marketing lecturer. Conjectural price elasticity, interdependence between the firms and the good, a good measure to forecast price changes in the retaliation, especially oligopolistic market. When it comes to the oligopolistic lesson in market structure, we'll discuss this conjectural price elasticity again with you. Import and export elasticity, especially people in a central bank, treasury, plan ministry, and the budget department, and even the export development board, they always calculating this one, especially while you're fixing the price for your foreign exchange, dollar price. You have to consider this one. It depends on the Marshall Lerner condition and the elasticity, we call it. And these things in international economics lecture, we are explaining to you again. Sorry. Then thereafter, other important thing is a demand estimation. Estimation you are learning from the quantitative lecturer. You have a managerial decision making, something subjects, that subjects, the statistics subjects, you are learning the estimations. Therefore, we don't want to worry about that stage. Identification of firms, real demand curve help to determine the correct price, input requirement, profit maximizing output. Identification of the demand, your marketing lecturer going to explain this one. Consumer interviews we can do, consumer surveys we can do, consumer clinics and focus groups we can do market studies, we can do market experiment in test stores nowadays, thanks to this ICT, the computers. You can do, a lot of software available to do that one. A lot of questionnaire, monkeys type of things are there. Now life is easy. And the statistical estimation of the demand, then there are so many techniques available. Regression is the best techniques. Using the SPSS, you can do that one. These things you are learning from your quantitative lecturers. Identification of the variables for demand estimations and the obtaining data on the variable. That is a difficult part. You have to go to the field and you have to collect the data. And equation specifications, that also you have to do it rightly. Otherwise, a lot of errors come. There are estimation of the regression parameters and the interpretation of the regression result, the coefficient of determinations, R square, R bar square, and the FNT statistic, standard errors, problems of the regression and correcting that one, autocorrelation, multicollinearity, and the heterogeneity. These things now software do it automatically, and you can get a right demand estimations, then the demand curve. Thereafter, you can forecast it. Then this thing what the people in the marketing department always do. Another one, the demand forecasting. Then this forecasting techniques also you are learning from that lecture, quantitative lecture. And demand forecasting methods, deterministic time series analysis we can do. We can do trend projections, extrapolation, or curve fitting. The parametrics or lag or lead indicator methods. You ask from that lecturer, the quantitative module lecturers, they will teach you the forecasting methods. Forecasting methods are very generic methods, but you can apply to demand forecasting, supply forecasting, anything. You have the parametrics or lag or lead indicator methods, econometrics models, the single, multiple, lag, structural, or maybe univariate, bivariate, multivariate, megavariate models you are learning there. Input output analysis in order to identify the interrelations between the various type of goods, opinion polling and survey techniques regarding the future plan. And the technique selection depend on forecasting distance, complexity of the forecasting problems, lead time, accuracy, relationship sources, and the time availability. Then these things, the forecasting techniques you are learning from that lecture, that module, then your life going to be easy. Estimation they do, forecasting they do. Then your duty for this module, then you got to know how to estimate the demand curve, how to estimate the supply curve, and how to forecast for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, sometime if you are in a durable or maybe investment good sector. And thereafter, product life cycle, then you can see this shows 4 stages of demand for a product. Actually, Vernon identify this one. Introduction phase, demand increases slowly. Growth phase, demand increases rapidly. Maturity phase, demand increases less slowly. And decline phase, demand decreases. Then we need badly the market guys help, how can get back into the business. And when it comes to pricing lessons, we are discussing again that one with you. Characteristic approach to demand. In your textbooks, this is very clearly explained with the 1-2 pages. This says that consumers are demanded goods because of their characteristic rather than consumers' own sake. Therefore, managers should learn how to incorporate the consumer desired characteristic to product and the services. This can show by using the indifference curve analysis. In your textbooks, you have so many examples regarding the characteristic approach to the demand, because people are demanding goods because of there are small one characteristic, not because of the each and every features of the good product. And the market segmentation we can do based on the elasticity. Market segments or niches are group of consumers with similar taste and preference patterns. The maximum number of market segments will not exceed the number of potential customers. The market can be segmented according to product characteristic, consumer income level, age, and geographic area. Elasticity can help to identify market segmentation. If you want to segment market based on the elasticity, you can do it. And the segmentation can aid in identifying the competitors, new product development, targeting advertising expenditure, branding, and exploiting the market niches. The market segmentation again covered with what we call the your marketing lecturer. And the segmentation examples, you have paint, you can see the overall market is a paint market. And the broad sectors based on the elasticity, we the segment the market, decorative paint, industrial paints. And the product group, you have product line, you have a color range, you have packaging, you have distribution outlet, geographical cover, everything we can do based on the elasticity. Then the different segment of the market we can serve with the different strategies. Therefore, elasticity matters there. And we can see the criticism about the demand theory. Consumers' rationality is unpractical. You always assume that consumers are very rational. Whenever prices are high, they buy low. Prices are low, they buy high. But that was not the case always, And the demand not always behave as it is stated in the law. Even supply also same. Supply not always behave as it is stated in the supply law. And the price is not the main concern of the consumer, because we assume in demand theory and the supply theory, price matters there, because according to that one, normal product demand and supply behavior, we explained there, we analyze the equilibrium situation, we analyze the elasticity situations, but they concern about the quality, because before you buy something, you look at the quality of the product, or service, reliability, and the after sales service and the design and the user-friendly nature of the goods and the brand names and recommendation from your friends, your past experience, consumer guides, advertisement. There are so many things, but normal demand theory, we build mainly based on the price. But we assume that other things are stable when price goes up and down, but that may be not right, But even the demand curve movement up and down, we can do based on the other factors. But we assume that other factors are constant, only the price is changing, That may be the main weakness of the demand theory or supply theory. You can have a self-study demand estimation, specify the demand functions for the following product. How do you estimate market demand for the following product? First, you have to specify the demand functions. You know how to specify QD is a function of the P. The price change, what it's going to happen. And how do you estimate the market demand for a following product? Estimation, then you have to forecast it. A new version of the Microsoft Office, a new brand of toothpaste, an internet bank account, a car exhaust system, theater performance, a new toll road, electricity supply, Sri Lankan tourist sector, Sri Lankan airline, the demand estimation and the demand. Especially first you have to specify the demand function, there we have to estimate it. And the Sri Lankan seaports, and depend on what the price of the seaports and the price of the other seaports in the regions, and so many other things you have to consider. The demand for Sri Lankan professionals, engineers, doctors, accountant, economists type of people, and that way. And thereafter you can see the questions to discuss. Explain the market mechanisms with an example. Sometimes in examination we ask in the market mechanism means demand, supply, and the equilibrium price. How it is behaving, Sometimes you can see why the farmers are not getting better deal from the market because of they are oversupply, maybe lesser demand, because everybody is supplying the same thing. Then by using that one, we can easily explain why the graduates are unemployed. More supply, lesser demand. But why the lesser demand happening? Because the problem with the economy, problem with the macroeconomy. Nowadays, you can see that, if I ask from the last year graduated batch, from our university, then only the IT and the computer science guys have got the jobs, All other people is still looking for jobs, Then due to the government, what we call the policy decisions, the retirement age has gone up, then the young people are now, they don't have any, the place, government is not hiring now due to these problems, Then you can see, but everything we can put there, and through market mechanism, we can easily explain all these things. And therefore distinguish between movement along the supply curve and shift in the demand curve. We mix that one, supply demand together. That way in sometime examination papers, you will see these type of questions. Explain the demand estimation techniques, and explain the demand forecasting techniques, and the distinguish between the consumer and the producer surplus, and they explain main demand elasticity concepts with examples, distinguish point elasticity and the arc elasticity, distinguish between the cross price elasticity and income elasticity. This type of simple questions sometimes you find in examination papers. As a manager, you got to know by heart, the practical side of it, That is why through case study, you will learn all these things. Explain why elasticity is so important to managers to take the business decision. You can see elasticity is a very important, elastic coin, unity situation. Then based on that one, you can do everything, fix the right price, order the right inputs and recruit the right people, the expansion plans and everything, Discuss how businessmen make good money after understanding the market mechanism. If you you can say, talk with the person with the rice market guys, 5-6 people are monopolizing the rice market, sometimes you can meet the earlier rice guy, and explain, then he very well understood the market mechanisms, he's not hurry, you really understand, he can control the supply, then, he's completely manipulating the complete market mechanism. If you understand the market mechanism, you can make a good money in the market, The why agriculture sector and soft skill workers are not getting fair deals from the market mechanisms. Then how do you explain the impact of current fertilizer issue in the Sri Lankan food prices? And that one you can easily explain, fertilizer due to that one, supply is going down, then the demand is always stable or maybe going up or maybe sometimes the same level. Then that is why vegetable prices are high here, why fish prices are high, because the people can't afford the vegetable. Now everybody want to consume the fish, then the price, naturally prices are going up. That way, whatever the current phenomena available in the market, visible fact, we can easily analyze by using the market mechanism. We can measure by using the elasticity, that one. Therefore, this is very simple, but very sound, You can explain very many things based on the market mechanisms. And these are the references. If anybody want to read that one, if you're first time listening the market mechanisms, then you read the chapter 3 and the 4 in this one. I think this managerial books that is available sometime in the net. And this book is available free, freely downloadable. Chapter 3, Worthing, Brighton, and there is a British book, this American one. American one more or less expensive, but it is old version available, all the books are saying the same thing, but in different cases, different colors, basic concept, fundamental concept is same. Therefore, you can read whatever you like books, And this one, the self-study extra case readings available in this book, Online piracy threatened the film industry. Careless talk cost customers. The price of taxing and what your supermarket says about, these small cases available in this book, If anybody interested, they can read for your reading pleasure. And this is a case study, Today we gave how the HP used tactics of the Japanese to beat them at their game, Then this is a group exercise. I think you got your group members' name, I think MBA admin office said that, they grouped the class and they gave to the students, Did you get your groups?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay. Then you can work with the normal groups, because till we meet in person, because we will continue with the same group, normally in the Harvard, each and every class, the group is changed, then all the members, otherwise you will stick it only throughout your 2 years with the one group, But for the moment, till we start in-person class, we will stick into this group, Sometimes not only these subjects, I may be coming to teach other subjects as well. Then during that time, we will change, We want to see that, in MBA, more or less, you have to contribute more. Then, group members has to contribute, argue, and, case you have to present, and, that was idea. But unfortunately, due to this pandemic, we were not able to do that. The real cases, we give it, you give answers. Whenever we have time, we discuss that one. Right? No one knows, sometime next week on, if power cuts come 4 hours, 8 hours, we were in real trouble, sometimes we may be not able to do even the online classes, who knows which direction this will end up, Now, if situation may be controllable, then we will start soon, the in-person class, even the UGC pressure us to do it all days. Yesterday also I saw the audit query came, why you are not to start in the in-person class. We gave so many excuses. Let's see how it works, But as there's a dean, I like to see that, everybody come into university, especially in the weekend, your class in weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you don't see that much undergraduates are here, Then you can easily do the work, Let's see it, you can do the better, I know other lecturers also have this problem, In-person class is the best way for a business education, we have to share, at least we got to know who are our students, without seeing you people, you are graduating, you never see the students, you never see the teacher, we never share a joke or tea or, handshake or nothing, People will see that, in order to be effectively handle the cases, Harvard is still, they do things in person, but they have facilities, but we don't have it. And at least as a normal groups, you should first study it. You see, in our first lecture, I explained, how to do the case study. What is your responsibility? You have to appoint the group leader, and group leader's duty is to make sure that everybody is contributing. And online, you can do that one. Sometime maybe after this class, you can maybe continue that one with as a group, even though I am not here. You can discuss, and in the next class you can report me the answers, and then we can discuss. Then you write your names with the group members' names, and you can submit via the Moodle. Then we will see that one. These are optional. Each group can select present. And then other groups can argue, and whatever their answers are different from you, right? And for the moment, we will say that we will do it online, and you will submit in the next class, and I will check the case study. And this is the case study, Can everybody see the case study?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how HP used tactics of the Japanese to beat them at their game. This is a practical case. You can see how these demand the things what you learned so far. Before introducing its inject printers, did HP have to estimate the demand curve for them? Why or why not? Then you can see demand estimation companies do it. Otherwise, they can't be in a business. Estimation plus forecasting and even elasticity also. When studying Epson before going after the Japanese dominated dot matrix market, did HP try to determine which factors would have an important influence on the demand curve for its product? This so far we discussed, factors affecting for a market demand and factors affecting for an individual demand. And if so, what factors seems to be particularly important? You can see practically you do that one, and the HP cut the price of its black and white printer from 995 to the 365 if the quantity of such printers that it sold for a year increased tenfold. Does this mean that the arc price elasticity of demand for this product was about 1.8? Why not? You get a simple formula and you add this data, then you will get an answer. This is a 1.8. The why not? Another one, can the data in the graph on page 68 be used to determine the trend in HP printers market share? What are the limitations of this data for such purpose? Then you can see last questions. If you were hired by the HP to forecast how many inkjet printers it would sell next year, how do you go about doing it? You can see the forecasting. How do you go about doing it? What data would you need? What techniques you use? Then you can see whatever you learn in the class, you have to use it. These are what we call the estimation, the forecasting techniques. I don't know, maybe they covered still the other quantitative module. But anyway, you can learn out of the books. These are not the very advanced techniques. Regression sufficient. There are so many techniques available. And how accurate do you think your forecasting would be? But there are plenty of forecasting techniques available, even though practically no one knows it. Can anybody say what is the oil price for tomorrow? What is the gold price for tomorrow? There are plenty of textbooks available, but no one knows it. If you know exactly what is the price for tomorrow for oil, you can make a billions within 1-2 days. No one knows it. Sometime maybe your forecast is right, sometime maybe wrong, sometime it may be correct in the range, but not the point wise. Like arc. In that way, you can discuss, argue. That was idea. Therefore, so please read this one as a groups, and you can have maybe Zoom session and discuss with your members, and thereafter we can discuss in our next class. Likewise, the last class I sent you to one page. What are the main features of the perfect business, right? It's a good business. Then shall we discuss on that? Yes. Can anybody say what are the main features of the good business? Does Sri Lanka has a good business? What are the good business sectors we have? Yeah, anybody can start the discussion? Class ref is there. Did you appoint the class ref? Not yet. Class representative? You have a class ref, yeah?
Not yet, sir.
Yeah, it's better you to appoint at least for this module. Then if you have any problem, you can convey via the class ref. Then life is easy, As a manager, you get to organize by yourself, Class ref, it's better, then they can easily, convey the messages to the higher management, Then if you want to improve it, sometime you can get together and you can say that, the situation is good now, then why don't you start the in-person class? You want to see the Moroto University, Some of you maybe didn't see the Moroto inside, Moroto land is, the place, everything, start. Some people say it's a money-making machines, This land, there is why most people don't want to go out. Still people want to stay inside and come and see, In that way, class, first appoint a class ref, then you can see what are the main features of the good business. What are the good business? Do we have a good business in Sri Lanka? Yeah, what are the good business? Maybe in history we may have, but not anymore. Or maybe how do you identify the good business? Their contributions to the number of employment or value added or export value or social indicators, the sustainability of the good business, why Coca-Cola considered as a good business. It's a one-page case. What are the good business in the world, maybe why Microsoft or maybe ICT related things, Now today everybody considers ICT, telecom are the good area to invest, good business. Sometimes maybe entrepreneurship group can think about, not only cases, sometimes we do the field also, exposure trip we may be not able to do like Harvard, Harvard sent into people to different part of the world, and they go and ask from the, the companies and, they find the problem and they want to find a solution, exposure. But we don't have that one. Earlier we were sending the students to the Malaysia and places, but now due to this COVID situation, we stop it. But otherwise they are learning a lot, rather than coming to class, if you go to the outside company and, get their problem analyzing, as a group, undergraduates, we do that one, undergraduate, we are sending them to the company and, they are getting companies, process problem and they want to improve the process. They want to map the process and, and that way. And the same way, I also like to see that, I want to send you people to the field also, at least maybe 1 or 2, field work. You go to the some man, sometimes you can take the government problem, Now Sri Lankan's main problem is a dollar. We don't have hard currency. As a MBA class, we can say that how can we get out of this problem, how can we generate more dollars? That is a problem given to our MBA class. Then we have different groups. Sometimes maybe tourist hotel come and say, look, I don't have customers now. That is his problem. That is the thing what Harvard do it, Sometimes you can sell in India, but that model is not working in Sri Lanka. Then that is a problem, Sometimes CEO cannot solve some problem. You take that problem and, you're trying to find a solution as a group. There's the idea of a field, Case study and the field are different. Sometimes you have to develop your own cases, while you're at Harvard, because we always benchmark with Harvard, Harvard, MIT, there are 4 gangs available, Rotterdam also one, and they heavily use the cases and exposure trips plus field, they call it. They go to the local companies and they get us some problems, and sometimes maybe entrepreneurship, sometimes the companies are contacting us and they asking, look, I have a hotel, but I don't have a business. You are running the MBA. Can you send some of your students to find the solutions to me? That type of assignments we like to recommend to the entrepreneurship batch, Sometime maybe we can select the local product, like a cinnamon, the world best cinnamon we have. But how can we add more value to the local economy? That is a problem, You go to the cinnamon cultivation or cinnamon companies and, you find the problems and, you will come up with a solution. Maybe sometime paper, that way, field also we will do later part of it. And can anybody break the ice, can anybody say something about what is the main features of the good business? Yes, Tarak.
Branding.
Yeah, brand name. Yeah, brand name.
No, sir, branding the correct place. Branding in the correct place of the market.
Yeah, that also okay, for success, business success depend on you have to do your brand in the right place, Yes, that's a one factor. Yes, what are the others?
It was a unique product,
Yes.
and the market has been analyzed, and I mean, like all the different populations, different age groups, amidst of the weather, all the people can, like I'm talking about Coca-Cola, all the people can access to it, so it's easily accessible.
Yeah, happy product,
Yeah, it's a happy product.
Yeah, whenever you are happy, you need it. Otherwise, no happiness. Yeah, that type of product, Do we have that type of product in Sri Lanka? Our beer? No. Yeah.
We do have several, right?
Yeah, we may have a indigenous liquor. Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
yeah. Whenever you want to get a happiness, you can use. But we may have a tea. You can see the Sri Lanka. We have the beverages tea.
Yeah, tea and coffee.
Yeah, coffee, tea. We can take. Why we can't do like a Coca-Cola for our tea? Think about that. Maybe we have to get some. You know, some product out of the tea. Maybe canned tea. That create happiness. In a happy moment, we need that beverage. You think about that way. Sometime maybe entrepreneurship batch can think about. Out of the tea, we can generate some beverage like Coca-Cola.
There's already a market for cold tea, like this
Yeah,
bubble tea.
but that is not working. There's even tea. Even Damika Pera was saying. He introduced the green tea tablets and things like, but it's not like a Coca-Cola. It's not moving. It is there, but it's not the right product. Like Coca-Cola, very hot product. Everybody need it. Yeah. What are the other features of the good?
Sri Lankan tea has been served as one of the major exports to British market.
Yes.
So yeah, Sri Lankan tea is a happy drink for Europe.
Yeah, but maybe now other people captured it. Kenya, India, and Chinese, and people come in, and but you
Yeah.
don't find the genuine tea. Sri Lankan tea always mixed by somebody. Yeah. But what is the contribution tea is bringing to us? Yeah, that aspects we have to see their contributions to our employment, GDP, value addition, the local economy, Still there, Sri Lankan tea may be the main net export earner. We have not the textile garment, Net export foreign exchange generator is a Sri Lankan tea. We may have, but now the tea sector in trouble, fertilizer issue, cost issue, and land, productivity issues, and labor problems, and very old cultivation, and some people say now we have to say goodbye to tea and think about another crop. For centuries we did it. Now we have to rethink about. Yeah, you people have to talk. Good
Professor,
business. Yes.
I propose a company having a good characteristic on the Coca-Cola model is defining your supply chain in such a way that it doesn't add to the product cost.
Yes.
Like the Coca-Cola syrup delivery where the local bottlers do. In this sense, I suggest that the franchise model restaurants have a very strong business model.
Yes.
KFC, etc., which enables them to maintain the pricing across the globe, the same price.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point for Sri Lankan tea. Yeah,
absolutely. But value addition might change that game for tea.
yes.
It cannot be done in a local situation elsewhere, sir. But I propose that as a local example, maybe the franchise model is utilized well by Pereira and Sons, although they are quality control across the landscape that they're operating in. I'm not entirely sure about it, but they are operating with local manufacturers and vendors in the same way that KFC operates around the globe, but in a much smaller scale, which helps them to maintain the same product portfolio and also the pricing across the country.
Yeah, that's good. Like a Dilma, you can say that Dilma is a good business. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Likewise, the PEB.
Yeah, single origin tea.
Yeah. That way, because we may also have some business, who, almost like a Coca-Cola, but it's not, internationally, renowned product, but based on.
My comparison to Coca-Cola local is Elephant House, with whom Elephant Ginger Beer, they actually outperformed Coca-Cola and Pepsi both. One of the 3 markets worldwide to do so.
Yes.
In markets where both Coca-Cola and Pepsi are present, only 3 countries have a local beverage that is outperforming them, and Ginger Beer is one of them.
Yeah, I saw the Branson, Richard Branson.
Correct.
Yeah, he was coming and taking the Sri Lankan ginger beer into the UK supermarket. Yeah, and even airlines.
Virgin.
Yeah, Virgin Group.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember he was doing a lot of works to popularize the ginger beers into the Western market. Yeah, that way the ginger also and other things, we have to think about, our environment, our climate is good for a ginger cultivation. And not only tea, there are so many other spices, the ingredients available in this land. Then maybe our entrepreneurship batch can think about, getting Coca-Cola as an example, what are the locally available? Maybe local toddy. I saw the minister was saying that, people are making good money now. Even the coconut water, king coconut water, that also maybe if we have to produce with the R&D, there's some syrup out of it, Thereafter franchising models, king coconut syrup, maybe going to work like a powder.
It is possible to lyophilize it, sir, and send as a powder.
Yeah. Then the more profit will come, the water content is not there. They can add the water and, think about, maybe you people also can think about that way, what is available in our lands, even cinnamon, pepper, and, there are a lot of things, local things available. Yeah, like a coconut water and king coconut water and, the Kithul, tree based jaggery, that is it's a good market. Think about in agriculture based, very many product, we can identify and, we have to do a lot of R&D on that, First we have to prepare a good syrup out of it, or powder, with the very secret, formula. And nowadays everybody want to do the ICT, and telecom, that is the area where profit margin is very high due to this pandemic, the information.
Yeah, I see Dialog also is a very good business in Sri Lanka
Yes.
as a very innovative tech company. Like they are used to introduce latest technologies to Sri Lanka at first, like 5G and I think anyone couldn't do at first. I mean, like they do have software implementing side, like as an example. So they have Axiata Technology Labs, Axiata Labs as a software company in other sides. So they earn so much profit with them. And as a telco company, they earn so much as like they used to introduce that work from home work learn packages initially. So I think they are providing a lot of solutions for timely in Sri Lanka. So as of that, I see it's a very good business in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, definitely, because they have a lot of, new product, innovative product introduced by the telecom sector, that
Yeah.
also good business. And think about maybe agriculture. We'll start with agriculture sometime, maybe rubber sector, we have world the best rubber, Why not one shoe? Can't we introduce one shoe, maybe rubber base or maybe some tire or whatever, because that part, some people are multinationals are coming and doing here, but we don't have local, guys who can do it, Sometimes maybe some people are doing it, like a ginseng and, this, there are some people, tea, rubber, coconut, based on the coconut tree, coconut tree, everything we can sell, maybe that way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that way, if we, I mean, we are the guys, who are the future of this country. Think about, especially entrepreneurship MBA guys, how do you get the good business idea? How do you capture the good business idea, based on these three trees, tea, rubber, coconut, you can get so many business ideas and the models, like a Coca-Cola example. Coca-Cola is a beverage, but rubber is an industrial raw material, and the coconut, both, industrial plus, beverage, and even some maybe mixing with the Sri Lankan coconut with some chocolate, So something happening, that way, whatever local, a lot of spices we have, even the colonial masters came because of our spices, But these things, cinnamon world, we have the world best cinnamon with us, In pepper also, there are a lot of other spices available, And maybe getting Coca-Cola as an example, can't we have maybe one or two good product out of it? And we can win the world, Our dollar problem also may be going to be over. Yeah. Some people say that, this what we call the alcohol, what we call this ganja cultivation, yeah. Yeah, you can make good money. Yeah, but ethically,
Yes.
religion wise, maybe sometimes some people say use the military and do it.
So excuse me, there's a problem in my mind that while riding along the southern highway, I have seen the rubber cultivation is now replaced with the palm trees.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there any?
Yeah, the reasons, economic reasons, because the rubber is not giving the right rate of return. The palm is giving the good rate of return. That is why the plantation companies went for that. Farm oil has a big demand. It started with industrial raw material plus the food stuff. If you buy anything, it has a palm oil. Even your detergents or whatever. The all these industrial things coming out of the palm oil. That is why the main reason is rubber is not given a right rate of return. That is why plantation companies went for that. But environmentally, we may have a lot of other implications, water shortages and, there are a lot of problems. The reason mainly the economic reasons.
Yeah, but if the our demand of the rubber is very good, why that was replaced on that?
Yeah, but I mean, the reason is the more than the rubber, the farm oil is giving a high rate of return. Investment in
The short time of period.
yeah, short time of period they are giving, but rubber is sometimes maybe very old one, and you have to remove it, and there may be a lot of labor problems, shortages, and things like company itself. Sometimes before they invest, they do a lot of feasibility studies, and they check it rate of return. Then that rate of return is very high in the farm oil compared with that one. Environmentally, maybe socially, it may have a lot of other problems.
That's the thing is, rubber we export as a raw material.
Yeah,
if
that's
we
a
can,
problem.
if we can add the values, I think rubber is the most good thing to get the opportunity.
Yeah. Rubber, based on the rubber, we can develop this country. It's
Yes.
a small island nation. That's not a big country. Even if you can link Sri Lanka with India, we can develop. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Then if you have a problem, you can go to India. Indians never come to work here in high-end jobs. Indian salaries are very high. Even university 3 times higher than the local salaries. Indian universities are paid. Indian salaries now gone up. Even ICT sector, Indian salaries are high compared to Sri Lanka. In that way, we have to find some way, out of our MBA class also, we have to think about, like maybe we can maybe focus on, tea, rubber, coconut base, Coca-Cola model type of things can't be produced something, maybe we have somewhere around 60 students, in our class.
Yeah, I would like to add something. When it comes for, I mean, like, I really agree with on the analysis that you gave over rubber and palm. And when, as of like the plastics now, when it comes to the, I mean, like controlling about the ocean pollution, and when the world is working on reusing of the plastics, of course, like that plastics can be also replica for rubber.
Yeah. There are synthetic rubber is anyway there, Yeah, the natural rubber, some of the industries you barely need only the natural rubber, like airline tires and,
Yeah.
do it with a synthetic, but you have to have a natural rubber for some things, But the problem is, now more than 500 years, rubber exists with us,
Of course,
but
yeah.
only the old DSI type of few people, utilizing it, But I don't know, younger generation maybe not start anything with rubber, Even maybe the small industrial accessories we can do it, based on. The tea, so you can say, still going as the bulk. Coconut also same, Coconut maybe not sufficient now for our consumption even, we are importing coconut sometime.
I'd like to add something here about rubber.
Yes.
Yes, of course, the rubber demand was coming down due to vinyl and other substitutes that the other student mentioned earlier. However, post-pandemic, the demand for natural latex skyrocketed for two reasons. One was that there was a major demand for gloves, and glove manufacturing went up by about 400%. Secondly, climate change is affecting plantations worldwide. Rubber is a rainforest tree, and as a result, it is challenging to grow and get natural latex out of a tree now. Therefore, Sri Lankan rubber demand also, in the last year alone, prices went up by about 35% worldwide, and Chinese demand has grown by 40%. So rubber is actually much more profitable than palm oil at the moment.
Yeah, that is why maybe anyway the government has stopped now palm oil cultivation. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, now they don't allow it because it creates so much problem. If you go to the maybe Malaysian case, Indonesian case, you can see they devastated all the rainforest and a lot of issues, natural habitat and right. Maybe at least they think about the how do you identify the good business in Sri Lanka, especially based on the whatever available in our land, especially the tea, rubber, coconut, spices, spices sector. We can do a lot of things, Sri Lanka is a very famous, for the world class spices we do, pepper, cinnamon, and cardamom. There are plenty of available, mine export crops, still they are going as a raw, no value added things happening here, a lot of pharmaceutical, so many other, the beauty products and, you can do a lot, but nothing happening. There are small things happening, somewhere, some people are producing soap and, the various things, sense type of things, but I don't know, it's not picking up it, regarding these three things. But in addition to that, there are so many other things, because so far only textile, the now more than 20, 30 years, only textile, garment, textile, apparel, that sector, but we have to move to next level, but that is not moving. I don't know, other countries also start with the textile, but they gradually move to the other sectors, but we were still not beyond textile, we were not going, we have to think about where are the problems, why not taking place other industries. The government also trying to do a lot of things, there are a lot of policy bodies, FX bodies they created, even Morocco University always involved in this, electronic, that industry also not, electronic industry also not taking place, even chemical, that aspects. Here and there small things happening, painting guys are, we have a chemical process engineering graduates we are producing around 50 per year, ICT sector, okay, now more or less, this island is very famous for IT sector work, software development, that type of things. But think about, how to identify the good business, which is, generating more value additions to our country, based on that Coca-Cola one. Anybody want to add something? Coca-Cola lesson, how can we replicate in Sri Lanka? What are they?
No, sir. Sir, I would like to tell about the economics
Yes.
of Sri Lanka.
Yes.
The problem of the power generations, because our economy always the problem of increasing the cost of energy problems, because other countries, the China and other countries have nuclear power plant and other power generation systems. So our electric and other power generation cost is very high for because of that transport and other all the machineries cost are also increased. So so I would tend to like to tell because we want to initiate the some technological improvement of the electrical side and like petroleum side.
Yeah, in energy area, we have, that is, easy to do business indicators, we are very bad in that sense, if you check the easy to do business index, we are very bad, our policymakers did not plan that one. If energy come the problem as, especially power sector, then all these ICT firm will leave the country, for day 8 hours power cut means, if it is happening, then I think already ICT firms decide to move to the other part of the world, I know some of the 2-3 companies, they already relocated to the Philippines, because they already recruit the people and they did everything. If the government doesn't have clear the plan to address the power issue, most of the foreign companies will leave, even the local companies, they will leave.
Yeah, because cost is very high, all the industries, because
that's the problem,
transport and all things. Because if we can solve the electric problem, we can reduce our transport cost also.
Yeah, that is so, yeah, we can say that good business are not the taking off or picking up in Sri Lanka, because maybe national ecosystem we have problem, infrastructure side, energy side, law and order side, judiciary, administrative system, corruption, governance, they are not in the right level, That is why these things may be not happening. Sometimes if you ask from the most people, they say the system is very, corrupt, even it collapses, and, a lot of bottlenecks everywhere. Then we have to create the national ecosystem which is conducive to the business environment.
I say.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, your views on that, that may be the reasons these businesses are not picking up here. This region.
I'm sorry, sir. Sir, I was thinking why the solar electric system is not happening still in Sri Lanka.
Yes, we have electrical engineers in our class, Do we have anybody?
I can just give a brief opinion on that. I'm not part of CEB.
Yes.
Solar energy has many constraints. Solar is a wonderful option, but the major constraint as a national power grid that we have is that we are a self-sufficient power grid. For example, we are talking about power projects in Europe, but if you consider Europe, they have 40 plus countries connected to a grid. So in Sri Lanka, we have a base demand of around 1,200 megawatts, which means we have to run day and night this one. So as we know, solar is not helping here. So base demand base demand has to be met, otherwise the system collapses. So we need to run a very large thermal and large hydro to capture this. During the day, during the peak hours, in the morning and in evening between 6 and 9:30, this goes to 2,700. So when this happens, you have to activate new power stations in order to do that. But thermal cannot do that. You can't switch on and switch off a power station like we do electrical appliances. It takes about a week if Noracholi goes down to switch it on. So what happens here is that solar is not going to be of any use here. We need to have very large hydro in reserve to capture this the peak demand, what we call, during the peak hours in the evening, where solar is not contributing anything. So if at all, the rooftop solar is a nuisance, because what it does is it produces idle energy. When people don't need to use energy at home, when people are not at home, it's producing and supplying the local grid, whereas CB is paying very high amount to that, but it's not used because people are not at home to use it. But when the people are actually at home, there's no generation, therefore they are reliant on the grid. So CB must plan for the entire generation, but solar, if you produce enough solar farms during the day, then you can cut down the use of hydro in that one. But solar is not a replacement for thermal at this time. It's not a replacement at all. But wind would be a replacement. Wind is a better.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
That's all I have to say, sir. Because solar.
Yeah, that's a good point, because these are the peak load problem, the 6 to the 10 o'clock, the all the problem, I mean, to whom, I mean, for what type of activities people are using this power, most of the time, these peak hours, they watch the Indian teledramas, if you can say people do not to watch 6 to the 10 o'clock these Indian teledramas cheap, then the power problem we can easily solve. Maybe sometime incentives, regulator regimes, new technology product, AI type of things, and the government office, you see in the Moroto University also there are some bulbs without switch, Then I found there are a lot of wastage happening. Incentives also we have to do scientifically, and we can do. But anyway, the sun is there, technology is there,
Yeah, of course. I also would like to add something for what Rantika said. Like when it comes for solar and when it comes for like climate change is real. Like there's a shift of temperature, and like we are experiencing like shift of whatever. Right now we are experiencing the shift of rainfall as well. So rather than for solar, it would be ideal for us as of the location of Sri Lanka to go for the wind, and together with hydropower. We have like 103 rivers and plenty of like rivers and the water sources. We can go for the hydropower as well.
Yeah, that's right. The problem is, we have to see that always you find in media they are reporting the governance related issues, because if you go for a solar or maybe wind, you don't get anything, for these officers and the politicians, That is why we didn't have the long-term plan, But anyway, the next 2-3 years we have a serious shortage of the power, because we didn't plan it for, If we talk with the people like Tilak, Simbala, Piti, and there are a lot of energy consultants, Recently, one of my PhD students from the CB, I think he's DGM from the CB1 divisions. He was doing a PhD with me regarding the how can we solve these peak load problems with the incentives and the regulatory regimes and the new technology product. And he also said that, you know, the main problem 6 to 10 o'clock, the power we are using for what? At the same time, we are watching maybe news 3 times, you know. We can say the news before 5 o'clock, we should stop news broadcasting, and most people are wasting, you know, the most of the time energy. And another things regarding the governance aspects also, when it comes to the what we call the thermal energy, the people feel that, you know, system is very corruptive in that way, you know. Officers and the politicians get together and they make a good money out of the emergency power purchasing. There are a lot of, you know, governance related things that there's a problem, you know, if there's an energy problem in the country, no foreign company want to come to that country, you know. We came to that stage now, you know, especially nowadays everybody is working through the energy, you know, especially when it comes to that the solar system. Daytime you are connecting to the national grid, night you are taking from the national grid, you know. That is the way it happening. But sometime maybe we can introduce solar power to the railway and, you know, the public transport and, you know, government buildings, you know. They were the night time only the 6 to 10 problem we can eradicate with some of the incentives, you know, and maybe some of the controls, like the most of the time the people are using energy for nothing, you know. Especially recently we did a survey and we found most of the people are behind the television and, you know, and watching these Indian cheap dramas using these the scarce energy resources. And that way, you know, self-control. If everybody can switch off their TVs 6 to 10 o'clock, the energy problem may be over. You know, that way. But anyway, we are in the real situation, you know, we are in a very ad hoc situation when it comes to energy. If there's no energy, we can't generate the good business, you know. When foreign business never come, they are leaving. You know, government has to have some policies, you know, they are talking everywhere. Even the normal, the coal plant also here, you know, government is in principally they agreed not to do it. And seems like no wind or no solar, then only the thermal is option, you know, because you don't get rain always, you know. Even most of reservoirs are filled with the you know, sands and things like, you know, and we have to do a lot of things there. Even farmers are also fighting for water, you know. You have to get a water balance, water, you know, proper management, you know. Find everywhere problems, you know. 72 years after independence, we are still struggling, you know. While we are getting independence, other countries want to follow us. What happened to us? You know, we are talking about the good business. You have to first create the good macroeconomic environment, you know, national ecosystems, user-friendly environment for a business, then the business will start, you know. Most of the people otherwise, and if you to get a today's situation, you can see all these the good young guys are leaving the country. If you ask them any undergraduates, they will say our idea is to leave the country. No one want to change the system, you know. Finally, we are coming to again to that point, you know. We need a good governance, you know, good leaders in powers, and, you know, those who love the country, those who really concern about other people, you know. Then again, the political circles, government officers circles, you know, that problems. But anyway, then now you can say I'm happy that, you know, some people talk and, you know, we learn a lot out of it. You know, the energy sector, we have problem, tea, rubber, coconut, and, you know, other spices. We should generate the good business out of it. You know, sometime maybe the sports like cricket, you know, we were good in that area, you know, but we can generate maybe cricket university, you know, other country people can come and learn from here, you know, cricket schools, and, you know, things like, you know, tea. Based on that one, we can do a lot of things, you know, even some transport modes, and, you know, things like, you know, then think about maybe at least the idea of a MBA, you know, after you complete graduated with the MBA, next 2 years time, on the one hand you have to have an MBA certificate, other hand your business plan. Idea of an MBA, you know, master of business. That means you know business better than anybody else, you know. Then you have to have your business plan, you know. During these times, you are meeting a lot of your colleagues, students, and your lecturers, you know, world-class lecturers, discuss with them, and, you know, pick up your business idea, you know. That was idea, you know, as a lecturers, our idea also, you know, the way you think we have to change, you know, to the business line, you know. Then without not knowing, you are going as a complete different, you know, person with a business, you know, mindset up. Right. Anybody has anything to add?
Sir,
Yes.
just an idea.
Yes.
So, since we are still in a developing country stage, so why can't we go for some like coal plants? So, since we are not very that much stable in our economy, we cannot. I think some cost of these uh, like solar energy is not sometimes not cost effective in our economy. So since until we are getting some kind stable in our economy, can't we go for like coal plants and we can replace that carbon footprint for like planting trees and arranging rainforest, forest in some bare areas. So it's just
Yeah, yeah. Anything from the CB electrical engineers are there? What is there? Why you don't want to go for coal?
I would like to add something. I am a mechanical engineer from Ceylon Electricity Board.
Yes.
Actually, this coal power concept recently also it was denied by the government. There was a project going on to put up about 1,200 megawatt in Sampur and Norachol area. That was also declined recently. The PMU was established and all the feasibility EIA was done. But that's the situation because policy changes real quickly. And as Randika correctly said, for solar, although Sri Lanka has solar all the time, but when the sun is covered by a cloud, that deficiency should be added from a thermal power plant. So we are always getting cloudy weather, right? If you see but solar power generation pattern in a rooftop or a building, any other building or a ground, it has so many variations. So the grid should have the ability to absorb those variations by compensating those deficiencies. That's the one thing I have to add. And I don't think coal will come because these days coal prices are very high.
Yeah, well, what is the reasons the government is stopping these things? Because of the prices high or maybe environmental problem?
No, environmental problems actually, not those are so-called environmental problems actually. Because in Japan also still they are running coal power with clean coal concepts, reducing carbon emission and other things. But we have so many what we call outward forces to eliminate those projects.
Yeah, why can't we go for a nuclear plant?
Actually, nuclear plants also in the power generation plan for so many years, but it did not attract the policymakers, what we call the interest.
I thought in most countries that nuclear power plants are being abandoned and they all been changed to diesel plants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that recent accident in Fukushima also made a huge impact on nuclear power plant. I think.
Yeah, what about this Indian initiative? Now the who's the ambassador to the India, the Mirinda Morogan is trying to get the power from India. There is something discussion going on that.
Yes, as I can remember, that transmission line project also is in the planning documents for so many years.
Yeah.
But there are some practical and geopolitical, I think, concerns around this.
Yeah, that also not going to happen soon, yeah?
Yeah, I would like to add something for that environmental concern raised by Danushka. That I mean, like in COP26, world leaders have agreed on to give out. I mean, like not to use coal anymore for the power generation. I mean, like it was as of going back to the history with the industrialization, it was Britain who started it. Britain who found out coal. Right now, they are banning it. So I mean, like coal. I mean, like Norotchole has brought up so much of EIA issues for the people around, for the people in Chilao and all those concerns were raised. So the coal, I mean, like coal has much more significant impact when it comes for the environment.
And
Well raised.
wind power concern raised by Tarika, another around 200 megawatt wind power feasibility is being conducted by this time after successfully commissioning the 100 megawatt in Manha. Close to that area, another 100 megawatt power plant is going to be put up actually.
Yeah, that's a good point, because as we discussed, the good business may be not emerging because due to this national ecosystem problem, energy sector, we have problem, power sector, we have problem, even though maybe people have good ideas, but the problem is the not conducive environment, national ecosystem is not correct. That is why those who have good ideas, they are leaving the country into other places, where they can easily operate.
As you had said, sir, the corruptions in officials and the politicians, I would agree with that. And as you have correctly mentioned that Dr. Siambalapiti is also, they are talking about these things, but they are not in the position for taking the policy decisions. The decisions are taken by a ministry secretary or a minister. They are going on their own agendas and their own interests. That's what's happening around this power sector actually.
Yeah, there is first we have to correct the problems at the political system, government bureaucracy, otherwise we can never ever see the good business are emerging in this small island nation, maybe in island nation, sometimes if you may have some link with the India or maybe other country, maybe the good business always happening in not the island nations, but in maybe the what we call the other places, where you are not isolated, you are linked with other countries.
And one more thing, sir, to that concern raised by our friend Taraka, the electricity prices, actually the current prices are not cost reflective. That does not reflect the cost of generation. But as I have recently read in a paper, in Southeast Asia, we are in the lower side of the power energy prices actually, electricity prices than India and Pakistan and other Bangladesh, those countries. So the other thing is the concessions government has given to the electricity customers. More than 2 or 3 million of Sri Lankan population does not pay the basic cost of the electricity actually.
Yeah, economic pricing has a problem.
Yeah, they are giving very high concessions. So the high capacity power users, they have to pay that amount also.
Yeah, they use not only electricity, but even most of the utility sectors like water, transport, like railway, and you can see that in oil and in every area, we don't have economic pricing. The pricing lesson you will learn that one, how can we have the right pricing? Then pricing, if you put a right price in, resources are efficiently used, utilized. But that is not happening. That is why these all these wastages. It's very interesting to see that, because now, yes, yes. Anybody has any views? Yeah, anybody have any views? Why the good business are not emerging in a country like Sri Lanka? Maybe we have problem with the national ecosystems, energy sector, you name it, infrastructure, telecom, and everywhere, transport, and everywhere governance related issues, and political system is corruptive, government system is corruptive, and that's why it's not happening, Coca-Cola type of business you can't maybe never see in this part of the world, especially these island nations. Think about that also. Maybe that we can maybe conclude today's sessions by assuming that we have to correct most of the basic things in the national ecosystems. Then sometime maybe good business will emerge, because we can't say that we don't have a business. Sometimes we can maybe in our class we can invite to the people like say maybe DSIO, there are good established business people available, John Keel's person. So time we invite them, they will share their experience. Then we can question, what are the problems, why the business are not taking off like in other part of the world, Then there is idea of these MBA classes, rather than learning from textbooks, Then today we start just, our discussion. In other sessions, we'll continue that one, And don't forget, now we have the Japanese, the printer market related case study. Once you read that one, you can see how the companies are practically using the things available in the textbooks, like, demand estimation, demand forecast, elasticity, and, that type of things, factors identification to specify the demands and things like, these are simple concepts, but they are heavily used for business decision making, Once you read this one as a group and, argue with, appointing the group leader, then everybody should contribute. Then okay, with this one, then we'll conclude the today's session. I'm quite sure that, due to these discussions, we open the, floor to everybody to share their views, Whenever we have a physical class, we can say everybody to talk, As we don't have in person, I mean, the online classes, that is not going to happen that much. We can group the class and, we allow you to visit outside the classroom and, we have canteens and, under the trees and, everywhere you discuss together, and after 45 minutes, you are coming with answers and, again, we are starting the class, that is the way we do it. Unfortunately, this pandemic will stop, all the activities. Anybody has any questions to ask? Now we have groups and, now you know how to do the cases, how to submit it, and, the next class on, I will talk less, and I want to see that you people are talking more, contributing each and everybody.
Right? Professor, I have a small question. So this was something with the other students also.
Yes.
With regards to the case studies, but expectations from the department, how much do you expect us to write in the case studies? Like, is there a word limit for certain questions?
Yeah, definitely. Latter part of the stage, we will see that, because it's better you to write maybe some cases by yourself, where we have the problem is, we are lack of the local cases, to use, Still, we have to use the other country cases, In Sri Lanka, we don't have a case development center, Sometime maybe your group can start the local cases development, The good business cases, maybe sometime, maybe, likewise today one, what are the companies they are using these demand or market mechanisms to take the decision, You can develop. Sometime maybe your MBA dissertation we can consider as one of the case studies, Some people are using the case methods and, that way, over the lecture series is progression, you will see that, you have to develop maybe one-page cases, not only analyzing the cases, but also developing also coming, Sometimes these cases are linked with your field work, Sometimes you have to visit the company and, you can interview the key person and, based on that one, you can develop likewise. Somebody said that the Pereira and Bakers, Pereira and Bakers, PNS, somebody can develop a very nice case study, how they start, how they are moving like a Pepco, maybe like a DSI, like a Laugh Guy, whatever, there are local companies available like a Guinness, but so far no one developed case study on them, like a Mass Holding, it's a big companies, but we can develop a good cases, to use for teaching purpose, but that is not happening. But we'll see that, while you're focusing with any possibility to develop case studies, developing cases maybe one page easy, but like Harvard one, maybe 100 pages cases, but that is not difficult. Even our lecturers are also not going to do that. Because we can think about long term, as a dean to the faculty, then I have idea to develop a maybe case study center at the business faculty, Many like Harvard, they have that one. Any students they can develop and hand over to us, any faculty can develop and hand over to us, then we can use for undergraduate teaching. And the case method is the best way to, I mean, to use for a business education, all the businesses school are using. Now the Harvard is reducing the little cases and they are going for the field and the exposure trips, They feel that they are sending people to China or maybe Latin America or things like, staying 2-3 months there, they come up with the solutions to the problem which the region can't find a solution. That way you think about the mixer, the case development also good, if people can do it. Now we are analyzing the cases, discussing, analyzing, and even the first case we gave the main features of the good business. How do you identify the good business? If you can identify the good business, you can invest on that business, Our entrepreneurship MBA people can start the good business, Idea is a problem, The idea first, we say money second, If you have a good business idea, money automatically coming. Idea matters, Sri Lankan, our culture, maybe we don't have that entrepreneurial class, Our capitalist class always associate with the, trade, just import something and sell, or maybe whatever available things import as a raw material, as a gross without value additions, We have to change that culture, the Moroto University, we have so many things to enhance the entrepreneurial skills of the technical people, or technical students, all the faculties are technical faculties. But that also not moving, we have inside so many, professorships, enterprise and, so many setups. And we have even a lot of business people also inside, If you see some faculties, everybody has their own company, bigger business people you find inside, inside tomorrow too. But we have to create that culture, how can we create entrepreneurial class in this country, otherwise we can't never develop this nation, Yes, that's a good point. We will develop a cases, not only discuss, analyze, and interact, but also we will try to develop maybe case studies for local companies. If you can, maybe this class can identify maybe few businessmen, who has a, the some established business people, likewise the Palavat guy, master driver guy. And that way you find maybe 10-15 people are there, in Sri Lanka also, like a GNSA, like a DSI, like a LAF and things like, and we can learn a lot from them after developing a case study, that also later stage we will see not only these subjects, even other subjects also, you will see the case methods they are heavily using, right? Maybe field or maybe exposure. There is a way.
So
Yeah.
regarding the group assignment, so we need to discuss this case as a group.
Yes, as a group.
Yeah, but the final output. So in terms of the final output, so each of the student should come up with a unique output, or
no,
else,
collective one. You get that together, and thereafter you have to find the answers as a group. You discuss and argue. That is the idea of a case.
The same group can be the same.
Yeah. Same group, one answer script.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we submitting the this group assignment, so the same group member will be submitting the same, ultimately submitting the same assignment, right?
Yeah. All the members are submitting a single assignment.
Yes. Okay.
That was idea. That was idea of the case.
Okay. Okay, sir. And
group assignment. Yeah.
Yes. And regarding the plagiarism, so is there any plagiarism rate that they recommend for the assignments?
Yeah, less than 10%.
Less than 10%.
Yeah,
okay, sir.
For to accept one less than 10%. But you can check, there are so many packages software available,
Okay.
Yeah, once you put there, it will go through the Turnitin, yeah. Turnitin is the university used one, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Automatically it will go. Otherwise, before that one, you can put, there are plenty of software available freely, Yeah, then paraphrasing is good, But these things you can't, I mean, the copy, because these are answers we are asking.
Yes.
Yeah, when you write the reports, the problem will come.
Okay.
Individual group assignment,
Yeah. And the other thing is, so you mentioned in the beginning that, so with regard to this group assignment, so we will have to present it, and other group can also argue. So
yeah, sure, definitely. The problem is, this online issue, but no one knows. Maybe next week, if there's no power, 8 hours or 4 hours, then sometime maybe the problem is there. In person is the best. But in person, the problem, I don't know. Now I heard that the architect faculty brought the students, they got, and IT faculty got the students, they got the, C19, and there are problems, bringing the students inside. Yeah. We have to see your safety, faculty safety. Yeah. Whatever technology available, we will try to use it, as a group, we will try to contribute, we will try to get your contribute. Today also you can see in the class, all of you, most of you talk, that's better, the first day, second day we discuss, and maybe next session, I hope the more students will talk, Yeah. Right, then don't forget, you have a textbooks, and I say extra readings, and, you have extra chapter to read, and, if you're first time listening to the economics, then I send a chapter also from the famous book, then you get a clear idea about the demand, supply, market mechanism, elasticity, these concepts, how the practicality use it, how the companies are using, and everything there. Right, then almost 7:10 with this one. Then anybody has any other questions? Last questions before we wind up? right?
Okay, so is there any plan to conduct the classes in the university in future?
Yeah, that is, we want to do it quickly, but the problem is that because of the situation, the undergraduates are there, always we have to close, undergraduates you can't control, the young guys, they get together, they don't follow the C19 guidelines, and they share the food, and they friends, that's a problem, Then we will try, I will discuss with the Amali and see that, we want to do it quickly, because it's good for you, everybody, business education, but we are conducting Saturday and Sunday, then we don't have that much problem. But anyway, we have the senior management committee meeting, then I will raise this issue. And I want to see that, at least you people have to come and, because you are adult students, not like UGs, then you can control by yourself,
Yes.
Still the canteens and everything close,
Yes.
There's a problem. We no place to even have a tea and things like, a lot of obstacles there. Right, we will try our best, as soon as possible, whenever the opportunity comes, we will start the in-person classes, because you people don't have that much issues, because we are doing the Saturday. Saturday, you don't find that much undergraduate classes not happening, and the Sunday morning. And we'll try our best.
Okay, so thank you.
Right, then with this one, then we'll conclude the today's session, right? And if you have any problem, any more materials to read, and so please send me an email. You have my email, and try to appoint a class ref. You discuss with the MPA, and then the matter is easy. If you have class ref, then it's representing all of you. Maybe you can appoint a two. One from female side, one from the male side. Right? You have anyway two badges. Entrepreneurship badge. You have a MOT badge. There are. Right, time to time I will send extra readings. You read the 2021 World Technological Report. That also I will send today itself. Then you can read that one now, where the technology is moving, how the economics is going to affect for that. That type of things you can learn there. Right, then everybody, hope take care, and safe everywhere, because the disease are now again coming up. Okay.
Okay.
See you next time. Next time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.